Good evening, Super League fans and managers across the world. It's the other chairman. Hello, and I hope you're well. It's been a while for me. I can see that the Super League has been going strong in my absence, as I expected. So thank you very much, Ryan, who's with us tonight as well. Evening, Ryan.
Good evening, Martin. Evening, Super League.
And we're joined by, I believe, Fulchester manager Chris Mack. Evening, Chris.
Good evening, all.
And Hull's Vikings manager Jens, all the way from sunny Norway.
Good evening. Pleasure to be here.
That was a very professional intro. Let's see if we can keep that going. So, in case anyone is wondering what that is on screen that they don't really particularly recognize, that's last week's results. In case you are wondering, so we'll run through them very quickly. They will seem familiar to you, result-wise, perhaps not scoreline-wise, and we will just have a quick look at the very clear sound, Martin. Thank you very much, Al, for the compliment. I am drinking tea with rum, so I don't know if it's my voice or the general sound quality you're referring to, but either way, it sounds good. We'll just quickly run through the results so that people can see what happened last week, or what kind of happened and then happened again last week. First of all, we had the Ass Athletic and Ryan. Over to you. So a 1-1 draw between Ass Athletic and Hull's Vikings. Niki Forenko with the goal and Mehmet Scholl with the goal for Aster. Slightly better performance by Vikings, I would say. Anything to add to this particular game?
Not really. I don't. To be honest, I wasn't really paying too much attention to what was happening on any of the games. Really, it was just trying to hope and pray I could get the correct score and result at the end of them. Yeah. Obviously, I think on this one, I can't even remember who scored first, but
It's
he, he,
we can run through them very quickly so that people can see that. Obviously, Jens being in the studio here, probably. I mean, has anyone ever seen a man of the match performance with a 7 before? I think that's my only kind of major observation from this game. That's quite poor.
yeah.
Um,
I think the basically there was a line of defenders and a line of defensive midfielders, and both teams, for pretty much every game, started the game like that with
mhm.
like a 5-5, and then when I needed them to either team to score, I just removed the goalkeeper from the other team. That was my kind of
Very
my tactic.
creative, very creative. So don't read too much into when the goals were scored, etc. But yeah, that was heading for a solid 0-0 this one, wasn't it? And then you had to fiddle around
Yeah,
with it right at the end. Fair enough. Okay, well we'll see. Churchtown obviously beat Fulchester 1-0. I think it was it 2-0 the original? I can't remember. But
2-0 the original, and in this game,
We were robbed anyway, so 1-0's a fair result.
the last 15 minutes of this game, Fulchester didn't have a goalkeeper in, and it took 13 of those minutes when Churchman to score one. And I was very lucky that they couldn't get the second.
Oh, fair enough. We'll have a look at the Dudley Hill and against Boston. Pancaro with a man of the match performance. Obviously, Dudley Hill didn't win the first one and definitely didn't win the second one either. Again, let's not read too much into the goals, but obviously a solid performance from Boston there. Gazelles replicating that victory against the Haggis Hunters. Thomas Rusicki with a 9. Well done for him. Keen Balak and Dede on the score sheet for Gazelles. We had Northern Byrne losing at home to Spartak Sloths. Carlos Gamara, again, unlikely goal scorer, getting the goal there. At least it wasn't David Collins. That's always something. And finally, a 5-1 victory for the Devils against Bostock Stanley. Kieran Dyer with a few assists and 2 goals for Emil Penza. Thomas Gravesen, did he play? Oh yeah, okay, right.
He was in the lineup. He was
Yeah,
indeed.
fair enough, fair enough. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, but as mentioned, I can see that Alf says Haggis keeper gets a 5. Yeah, but don't. I mean, um, let's not
Don't
read.
worry about it. It is what it is. Let's just move on.
It was
Whatever
maybe
result.
maybe due to the fact that he was playing in the left back position for half the game. So there's no real connection between the ratings in this game and reality. So you've seen the scores, you've seen what went on. Ryan's explained in full detail and much appreciated your efforts there, Ryan, to get everything back on track. The table will look familiar to everyone, as that hasn't changed apart from maybe a tiny bit of goal difference. But it's only Fulchester and Bostock that were on. Oh, is it? Oh yeah, well there's so much of a difference anyway. They are like on whatever, and they are on +4, so that's fine. Okay, so yeah, everything is fine. Everything's set to go for the evening. We've got some interesting games coming up. We've got Dragons at home to Churchtown. First, we'll skip the Fulchester Aster game and leave that for a little bit later. as we've got Chris Mack in the studio. We've got Gazelles, high-flying Gazelles against Dudley. Hools will also leave until the end. Then we've got Locomotive Boston against Northern Burn. The Sloths against Leathersford. We've got Devils against the Haggis Hunters, and then we'll obviously finish off with the 2 games with the managers that we have in the studio. So yeah, I'm looking for. I'm as they say in America, I'm stoked to be back. I hope that you are all happy to have the Super League back on a Sunday night as well. But I could talk for hours, and we do want to get through this. So without further ado, let's see if we can pick up the Dragons game first. Where are we? We're here. Dragons. So, Dragons, ladies and gentlemen, there's 3 of you. Do you want to fight this one out between you, or, or how are we going to do this? Let's start with Chris Mack, and what do you think of the Dragons, the season they're having, and the lineup they've got tonight?
Well, the season they're having, it's still a bit up and down, isn't it? I think Jamie's probably going to be quite disappointed. He might have expected better, but again, to be honest, if you look at his team, it's hardly inspiring. Zoe and Boomer, probably the standouts for me. Everybody else is either crap or hasn't really done it in Super League. Like Batistuta's not elite. Back's a bit of a myth. Kerr, incurs the wrath of the Twitter community every time his name is mentioned. Saeed, again, I think he's a bit of a myth. Decent penalty taker, that's it. So, I mean, is Jamie doing all right with a bang average team? Yeah. Does he want to do better? Yeah. Is he going to? No.
Well, that's a fairly accurate, assessment. Well, maybe accurate is maybe a strong word, but a blunt and I would say fair assessment of the situation. Yeah, there may be a few of the players that aren't really. I mean, I'm not a fan of Saeed and Matt Kerr, obviously, due to them being sort of like fake-ish players. But yeah, interesting to see how they fare tonight. Does anyone have a more positive view on Dragons and their season? Jens or Ryan, feel free to chip in.
I think there's definitely potential here. Obviously, Wilfred Boehmer, I think everyone knows he has got potential to be the best player on the game in that position. Zoe again is solid. Elias having a great season so far, and Maka kind of brushed over by Studer, but I think season 1 there's no one better. So, and I don't think he should have got rid of Nedved, but Archie back isn't a bad player. Yeah, I think Srivo West. I think there's a lot of love for him because he's on a free. I don't think that defensive line's fantastic, but I think Maka maybe undersold the team a little bit. I think they should be doing better than what they are. But yeah, a few questionable decisions in there throughout the season.
Well, we'll see how the manager trio gets on tonight, obviously, and we'll pop over to Churchtown and we can have a chat with Jens about this Churchtown side. So a very similar, if not identical, tactical formation that they've got here. Jens, what do you make of Churchtown and their side? We're halfway through the season. Churchtown have normally been sort of up there at this point. They're a little bit maybe further down than what they've been accustomed to or what they would like to be in 7th, but.
They're in form though. They've
I
been
was going to say they're.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I was going to say that as well. If they keep this run they're in now going, then they're definitely going to be up there. I think it's an interesting side because there's not too many like top class players in that side. I know Aymar is out, and I think Zanetti is one of the best players in the game, honestly. But other than him, Tomadera has been scoring goals. Ashley Cole has been doing well. Okoronko has been fantastic, I think, at the back. Didn't know he was going to be that good in season 1.
Oh my goodness, yeah, 8 average there. He's really been impressive at the back there.
Yeah, he's been a rock. So yeah, I mean, good things do come to an end, and yeah, this might be the night where he goes on a loss, but he's been in good form and he's definitely onto something.
And 9 goals from Tomadera, or Antonio Lopez as he's also known. A bit of a surprise to you, or to? I mean, it's a surprise to me. I knew he was obviously sort of half decent, but 9 goals in 12 games, that's quite good return considering the many single digit stats that he's got.
I mean, this is what I wanted from Tsigalko. I didn't get this yet from him. I mean, he's the same kind of player, isn't he? He's been brilliant from the start. It's kind of like David Collins as well, with maybe even worse ratings, skills ratings. But Yeah, he's been performing well, scoring, 9 goals in 12. You can't ask for more than that.
Yeah, and Ryan, do you think the similarity between we can move on to the actual match screen and continue the conversation. So the similarities, I mean, there's a front running line on back and not on Adilson. Do you think that's going to have anything to say in terms of the outcome? Is it going to be a bit of a ball fest that cancel each other out, or what's your experience with that?
Generally, we don't see it that much with these kind of formations. We see it a lot with narrow formations. Generally, when Alf used to play Thiago in the kind of the old Super League, and that generally was the kind of thing that might give you a ball fest. It might give you two teams cancelling each other out. I'm not think we've had too much of experience of it with two teams with wide formations and with two players up front. So I'm not as maybe apprehensive as I would be if
it was too narrow.
Yeah. But
your prediction though?
If I look at the you look at the teams, I think the starting lineup you put Dragons as slight favourites, but just because the form that Churchtown are on, you can't write them off.
Jens, Chris, what do you think?
I don't remember what I said in Fife's show on Friday. I think I got it. I'm a 1-1 maybe.
It's possible. I mean, Greaves says it's going to be 1-1 as well. Chris Wack, what do you reckon? Home win?
Hart wants the Dragons win, obviously, to help my playoff position, because I do think Kieran's going to make it. He is quite tactically astute, but I fancy Churchtown for this, probably 2-0, quite comfortably.
Well, there's a bit of everything in the comments as well. The Mega Horse goes for a 1-0 with the Said penalty. Let's kick this one off and see how Dragons get on in the first half against Churchtown. Oh. Had you changed the speed as well, Ryan, to manage it?
Well, I had to kind of get them on slow just to kind of just so I make. If there was a goal went in, I need to put the keeper back in there, didn't I?
Fair enough. Oh, it's Nakata who opens the scoring for Churchtown, 1-0 up. There hadn't been much to talk about the first 20 minutes, so it was good that we could have a little bit of a chat. Oh, and there is Tomadera with his 10th of the season. One of the first players to reach 10, probably.
I think he might be the third player to reach 10, but yeah, it started off, it seemed like Dragons had a couple of chances, but the longer that half went on, it was more Churchtown, wasn't it? And it looked like they could have had a third at the end there.
Yeah, definitely. Looked like, oh goodness. I mean, Alf did predict goalkeeping disaster because of the showers, which apparently is an indicator of that. With only 3 shots on target between them and 2 goals, it's definitely been a night to forget for the goalkeepers so far. Very, very good in terms of the actual playing stats for Dragons. Many completed passes, tackles, and headers. Not so much for Churchtown. They've just been a little bit more effective.
Looking at Wood's comment there, and Oliver Kahn has been, many people would class him as the best goalkeeper in the game this season, and he has had a real rocky season for Dragons. He's had some good games, but he's had some games where he's generally lost them the game, and this is another one now where he's had 2 shots against him, and they're 2-0 down at half time.
Yeah, direct free kick from Nakata for the opener, and Zanetti with the cross from the right to the right hand side, and Antonio Lopez outjumped Oliver Kahn, or Tomadera outjumped Oliver Kahn, which is never nice to see if you're looking at your goalkeeper. Bit of a
How
quiet.
big do you reckon he is, Tomadera? I know he's not real, but if he was, how tall do you think he'd be?
8 foot.
How long is a piece of string?
I don't know. Let's have a look and see if his stats give us, or his attributes give us any kind of indication. I mean, he's okay. His strength is okay. His agility okay as well. I'd say he's sort of probably average size, decent balance, agility, strength. Like not too big, not too small. Very fast though. So maybe sort of a Cristiano Ronaldo kind of size. I don't know. I don't know. Does it matter? Anyway, they've done okay. Obviously, there's not been a lot of passes at all. Zanetti with the cross there. We mentioned there Oliver Kahn. I mean, what's the story with Oliver Kahn? He's got a 5, then he's got 2 8s, then he's got a 6, now a 9, and now he's down to a 5 again.
It's a big concern, isn't it, for Dragons?
I mean, I don't know. Who's their backup? Paul Robinson?
Peter Schmeichel in one game, or is that someone else? It might have been Dragons Peter Schmeichel in that. But I've got a feeling that they put Schmeichel in and you slagged him off 9.
Look at his stats. I mean, he could almost play everywhere on the field. He hasn't delivered at all so
Yeah.
far this season.
I mean, considering that he's probably one of the players with the most 20s in season one, and he's only 32 years old, that's a bit of a strange one. Keep assist says Wooder. Kieran's not online yet, so he's going to stay as it is as well. Because I mean, they're winning 2-0, so why not take the captaincy off him? Actually, that's a good point. I don't like having my keepers as a captain, and I don't like having players that are too young as a captain. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it matters. Maybe it doesn't. Let's see in the second half if things can change for the Dragons. I mean, they still have good players, but let's have a look.
Did notice to see Greaves' comment there that he's got marking of 8 and tackling of 20, so he probably could do a really good job at centre back.
Best centre back on the game. Yeah, I mean they have been a little bit more active in the second half now. Dragons. Matt Kerr had a shot there earlier. Back had a chance there. Constantino as well. So they are coming forward a little bit more. But Lehmann, the German counterpart down in the Churchtown end, is doing a lot better than Kahn did in the first half, holding them back. Kahn did come in with a save there though. Couple of saves by Khan there actually, and Constantino. Oh, but it's too little, too late, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Dragons, I was going to say they had a much better second half, didn't they? But that's what happens when you've got a poor goalkeeper. Again, I mean, the performance-wise, I
They
mean,
probably deserve that game, didn't they? That's a little bit of maybe not a champion as such, but they're definitely the better team overall.
Yeah, and definitely with the most possession as well, nearly 60%. Let's see what happened there at the end. Oh, Constantino just with a quick, nice little move around Nakata there from Celius's flick. Did he get an assist off that? Yeah, he did. Chris Mack, what do you make of this performance? You mentioned that you weren't entirely convinced by Dragons. I guess this hasn't done anything to change your mind.
No, I'm still not. And again, Churchtown have managed to squeak a result despite being outplayed. That's normally the sign of a good side. So, again, Churchtown are probably definitely one to watch out for. Dragons, again, the situation doesn't improve, and I remain completely uninspired, as you've said.
Yeah, and Ryan, what do you make of Matt Kerr only having 19 I mean, I know he's completed 18 of them, but for an MC, I mean, you would have thought that having such a pivotal position on the pitch, you'd expect a little bit more involvement from him, wouldn't you?
You think so, and the comparison that you kind of drawn to is that of Barry Ferguson at Swindon and how much of an impact he has on a game versus Matt Kerr. And it just seems every time we've been through this in the Super League, Matt Kerr is a solid midfielder, but he's definitely not pulling up any trees. He's not getting goals. He's not getting assists. And then in this game, when they need someone to take control, he looks like he's the absent midfielder.
He's got Seedorf there on the bench, and I think he hasn't played much. And I saw now in the comments that Boyer is out, suspended, and
It's
even then
strange one, isn't
Seedorf
it?
can't get a chance.
I don't understand why Clarence Seedorf isn't playing. Surely, do you mean he would have been a bit of a token in the transfer market if they do you mean if they don't fancy him, then surely they can get someone in who's going to start. But
Straight up, Jamie. I know I've been a bit harsh on your Dragon side, but if there's a sniff of Seedorf's availability, let me know.
Well, down the other end of the pitch, it was obviously Churchtown having the better of the evening's result wise, but performance wise, you would say the Dragons were actually the better side. If you're looking at it here, Jens Patrick Pauve and the other guy's name, Mendes da Silva, the two defensive midfielders. Mendes da Silva maybe a little bit young. I mean, he's only 19. His stats are okay. And the Dutch, Patrick Pauve, the now Australian previous Dutch player. As a DMC partnership, how do you think that is? Do they need to improve there, or will they come good over the season and perhaps next year?
Well, they've done well together, haven't they? So far, I mean, Mendes da Silva is not one I would use season one. I think he turns into a really good player. But I mean, this is all about Okoronkwo and Lehmann. Okoronkwo's playing a very good game again. Lehmann is solid as no one else, and Tomadera getting the goals.
Yeah, so in the end,
You don't actually need more than that.
No. Of course, you just need a couple of very good players either end of the pitch, one up top and a couple of good ones at the back to keep the opposition at bay, and it's worked out well for them. Ashley Cole managed to lose 8 headers. So that's quite impressive. And again, the defensive midfielders didn't do too well either. But as you mentioned, Okoronkwo there to sweep everything up, and he keeps his 8 average. So yeah, good start to the evening. Good to see obviously Tom Madeira in the goals. Nakata direct free kick, always nice to see. And a little bit of hope there for Dragons with a very solid performance. Actually, just a little bit unlucky with the outcome considering how the
Yeah.
chances were distributed.
Kieran will be looking at that 6 from Medielson. Do you think he's in for the injured Aymar? Maybe we might see Cristiano Doni back on. I think he started the season but has been dropped, but he might get another chance now next week.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think he struggled to find a working AMC as a few people actually have. I mean, I think it's funny that the AMC position is something normally that people like really rely upon for goals, for creativity, etc. And there are a few teams that have struggled to get a good AMC going. But we've seen other positions be quite successful. In contrast. Anyway, next up we will skip the Fulchester game. We'll go to Gazelles against Dudley Hill. So let's have a look at the Craig's side. Figo's unhappy for some reason.
Yeah, he wanted to. I don't know. Yeah,
New
I think
contract.
this is public knowledge. Yeah, but he wanted a new contract, but it's one of those where his agent feels he can get a better contract elsewhere, and then he's got a new contract, but he still wants to be transfer listed. He's a bit of a, everyone knows what Figo's like. He's a bit of a pain in the ass on the game, isn't he? But usually, if he gets a run in the team, which I think he's going to be playing every game, then that should disappear.
Oh well, we'll see if Craig heeds your advice and does indeed keep him in the starting 11. He's a decent enough player, and he obviously Super League winner. I bring this up every time that the Gazelles play, but they obviously have quite a few ex Bolton Phoenix players. But strong looking side, and they're another side a bit like Churchtown that have had some reasonable good results recently. Ryan, what do you attribute that to? The formation, or I mean, it's a strong squad as well, obviously.
Yeah, I think the start of the season he had Agahauer up front and Clivert was injured. I think after game 5 or 6, he got Clivert back and results started to improve. He had a couple of blips a few weeks ago, but yeah, I think this was his last week. He went with this back to basics. It had a good result, and I think Kieran was one of the few managers this week who just said, "Yeah, same 14." Obviously, he was absolutely fantastic last week, so you can understand why you wouldn't want to change it.
Yeah, you don't want to change up too much. Jens, what do you make of this formation, 4-1-3-2? Yeah, you're another manager who's gone back to some of the standard formations after trying something different at the start of the season. A formation that you like and rate this one?
Yeah, definitely. Especially on home saves. I was very insecure if it was going to work in the Super League, but it's worked pretty decent for me, and it looks like it's working for Gazelles as well. I just have to say I think this is one of maybe 3 sides I would say they're going to be in the playoffs. I think this is a really strong team.
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe could you have a slightly better sort of selection of those 3 in central midfield, but the rest of
Agahova's
the
maybe not a central midfielder, and Ballack is maybe not top class. But I mean, look at that back 4. Look, you have Roy Keane in front of them, and he's got goal scorers up front as well. So
yeah, it's a strong one.
He's had the balls to drop his goalkeeper as well. Obviously, Rob Douglas started the season. I think he tried the other lad as well, but he's gone with Pelazzola.
He's not even conceded that many goals. It's just a poor average, to be honest. But he's obviously in with Pelizzoli, who's conceded 1-1 and got a 7. We'll see what happens with that. I'll see what Dudley Hill have to offer tonight, and we'll hear from Chris Mack on that. It's the Tinkerman, isn't it? Is Anelka unhappy? All right, that's a surprise. It's our very own Claudio Ranieri. Was it Claudio Ranieri? Was he the Tinkerman? Anyway, Chris, what do you make of Dudley? They started off the season really, really well. Couldn't win at home, but had good results away. But now they're not really getting any results, really.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying this to Ryan today earlier, actually, that the firepower they've got and some of the star power on the rest of the team, they should be battering everybody. But if you're going to play formations like this, which I fear will either work spectacularly well or backfire spectacularly, you're not really going to get that level of consistency or play everybody in the right positions potentially. Like, I'd like to see an Alex and Totti central midfield. You could even play Crespo, Viduka up top, Ronaldo in the hole, try something like that. But I just think this formation set up to sort of, you know, spite his own team in a way. I don't really get what he's trying to do apart from just lump it forward and hope some superstar does something with it. It must be frustrating for him because he's got a fantastic team, but why Tony Adams is playing, don't know. Why there's only one man in the middle of the park, don't know. Depending what passing instructions he's got on, you know, is the ball going to reach that superstar front line quickly enough? I don't know. It's confusing. He should be doing better than he is, but I don't think he helps himself, quite frankly. Sorry, Steve, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely see how it works out. What do you reckon, Ryan? With this, I mean, we've kind of spoken about it. I think when Fifey and others have tried to like out of frustration of not getting goals. I think Ian had a Northern Burn match, or sorry, maybe even a BTEC match where like, right, we definitely need some goals now, and just lumped a ton of people up front, and it doesn't always work out, does it?
No, necessarily. I think, yeah, as Mackie kind of was alluding to, that basically he's not scored enough goals. I think second least goals scored in the league, and he's look at his tactic name here. Dudley Hill will score. He's put 3 up top, Totty just behind them, and he's think that's what he's kind of thrown all his eggs into his basket. That even if he gets beat tonight, he'll get a couple of goals, and that'll get him going. Just point out that the captain Francesco Totti, I think it's his last game for the club. Obviously, he moved to Spartak Slavs later on. Like, it'll be before the next game. I think the actual transfer has gone through, but it's been delayed because, it was because teams had already been submitted when the transfer was accepted. So I thought, no, I can't actually. So it's a brave decision for him to get rid of Totti. So we'll see if he gets a couple of goals tonight on his way out.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It'll be interesting, definitely. He's another dead ball specialist. I think that you sometimes get something out of. Jens, do you think Dudley can get a result away to Gazelles tonight, or is it going to be
Honestly,
tricky?
I would love for Steve to get he's gonna come good, I think, because he's got a lot of good players, and I think he knows what he's doing. But this formation away to inform Gazelle's side, no, I'm sorry, I don't think so.
Well, we'll see. We'll see when this kicks off. Alf says 1-1. Gazelles has Joe Palmer and Fifey supporting them with three goals each. Someone says 4-4. Oh, that was Ian. Ian's got his Northern Burn badge on there. So yeah. Yeah, a lot of support for the home side. Alf thinks it might be a draw. Let's kick it off and see what happens. Dimble goes with a 4-3 away win. Well, you never know. You never know. It's a good start for the Gazelles. It's Kluivert after 9 minutes, and there is Tony Adams. And I think there was some kind of talk about Ayala being injured. I don't think he is injured.
This might have been he might have got injured last week, but anyone that submitted everyone had submitted a team. So
right. Okay.
You've got to with the team that you submitted rather than having
to do redo. I get it. Okay, well, Fabian Ayala is definitely coming on now. Obviously, like for like replacement with Mr. Adams there. Let's see if there's Ferdinand.
Looks like it's all Gazelle, doesn't it? It looks like it's only going to go one way.
I mean, I was gonna say, if they bring it back to 2-1, then there could maybe be something in it. But this doesn't look as if it's gone well at all. I mean, there is Crespo. You never know. We have got people saying 3-4 in the comments, so who knows?
But it's good. I mean, that's the kind of Dudley Hill idea of this game, is to get the team to score goals, and Crespo is someone whose goals they will need if they're going to make a run. Obviously, he's making a transfer. He's trying different things. I think he might get a bit more of a sensible formation at the Steve next week. He's just had a shot at it tonight, and it looked like even at half time, it's definitely not going to work, is it?
No, I think for me, like, the reason I express concerns over the midfield is Gazelles have obviously done very well recently by packing that central midfield and having a holder, and then basically he's thrown poor Alex to the wolves by having him on his own. And then Davids is probably being overloaded by the 3 front arrows on Gazelle's central midfielders. So to be honest, it's no surprise it's 4-1.
Well, as Scott says, I hope Gazelles get 6 to overshadow my pumping last week. I think, is it 6-0 or 6-1? Is that the big? I don't think anyone's ever scored 7 in the Super League. But yeah, in terms of possession.
Did Fifey win 6-2 a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I think we've had maybe 8 goals in a game before, but I don't think we've had anyone score 7. But either way, you know what it's like. It's 4-1 at half time. It's likely to be 4-1 at full time, to be completely honest. Um, Babos could not gather. Who is Babos?
Gabor Babos.
Who's
Basically,
that?
it's the goalkeeper rotation going on at Dudley Hill.
Ah,
He's
okay.
practically goalkeepers at the moment.
Right, okay. I'm with you. I get you. Okay. I was just I was surprised. I'm not familiar with Gabo Babos, but okay, he didn't look too bad, to be honest. Not too bad a performance from him. I mean, they did have 9 shots on target, so he's done better than a Dragons goalkeeper in the first game anyway. But not really much to write home about here. Steve, if there's any kind of changes changes that you want to make in terms of bringing on either Ljungberg or Anelka, then do feel free.
Got to get an Elka on, surely. Give him a chance.
I mean, he has scored goals. I'm just thinking he's been so terrible. I'll let Steve consider that. In the meantime, Jens, 3 goals for Patrick Kluivert, so he's not quite on 10 yet, but he's definitely catching up with the other top scorers. And did you mention that you would want someone out of this side, Ayala, or is that the opposition that you were after?
Yeah, like Ayala.
Okay.
No. I mean, they're all over the Lille. It's it's gonna be a thumping, this one. It already is. Kluivert, he got him from me. I switched him for Tsigalko. It doesn't look like the best move right now.
That's a brave move.
By
brave, I mean stupid.
Yeah, looks that way now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well,
I mean they're just cruising. It's for me, it's just a matter of how many more they're gonna score. To be honest.
You would say, if you look at, with the exception of Agahoa, you look at that starting lineup for Gazelle, and you think, in real life, that was an absolutely world class team. I mean,
yeah.
Swap him for Deco.
Yeah, just swap him for Deco on the bench, put Deco in, put Delivio in even, you know what I mean? Is probably quite underrated because he was already old when most of us started watching football. I think he's already in his sort of like mid-30s or something like that. He was an absolute legend in Serie A for years before that. So yeah, good guy in there. We'll just swap Anelka for Mark Viduka as predicted by not predicted, as requested by Steve. And Chris Mack, your prediction for the second half?
2 more Gazelle goals, probably.
Well, we'll have a look and see if that comes true. I personally think nothing's going to happen.
I just even Joe Palmer's comment there. When did I ever be a neutral as a kind of in the chair? I think I've always have my opinion, and that's 2 more. We might be getting close to it.
Meanwhile, while we address previous Panathinaikos managers' ridiculous criticism in the comments, Gazelles are making light work of Dudley Hill in the second half here. Might stay at 6 though. As mentioned, we haven't seen 7 in the Super League yet. Oh well, we have now. So there you go.
I actually think Fifey commented that he once conceded 7.
Oh, did he? All right. Well, I couldn't rule it out. But so here's your record has been equaled 5 feet. An absolute swamping. What is a swamping? Oh, either way. Is that the opposite of a champing or something? I don't know. Either way, yeah, that's not gone well at all, has it?
I don't think we're ever going to see Gabor Babos in that again.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I think Steve would have anticipated this going into.
He would have probably feared
one of
it.
the toughest away games in the league with playing like that, with 3 up front and 1 AM. Gazelles overcrowding the midfield, as Macca said. It wasn't. He was bound to get a swamping.
At least Crespo got off the mark. Yeah, I guess that.
I mean, Steve really needs to kind of the start of the season. I remember he had a couple of bad results, and he would seem to be generally gutted about them. And he just seems these last few results that have not gone his way, he seems to have kind of been more expecting it rather than. I think he just really needs to kind of get his head back into it now and get a formation. And I think his squad. I don't know if the other guys on comms agree with me, but I think he can play an 11 which can match anyone. So to kind of go in with that formation, as Mac has kind of alluded to. I think he's threw the tail in before kickoff of this game, and
I think, yeah, I
he
think
could have won that.
I think to be completely fair, it's difficult when you're a new manager in the league because what are you going to do? Yeah, you don't have that kind of experience of playing these games where you lose incomprehensibly to teams that you think you should be beating with the squad that you have. I think the most important thing, if I can give any advice to the managers, not so much from a manager's perspective because I'm awful at the game, not awful, but mediocre at best at the game and terrible in the Super League. Lost pretty much all my games. The best thing you can do as a Super League manager is to treat every game like a cup final almost, and just line up in a way that you're thinking, right, let's see if we can get a result here. No gung ho tactics, no wild swing in, this, that, and the other. It's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, Ryan, how many tactics did you use? Different tactics did you use in the 2 seasons where you won both of them? You used like maybe 3 or 4. I mean, unless there was some kind of minor tweak. Yeah, Valen did the same. They did really well. Kieran looks like he's using a lot of different tactics, but he's not really. He's just kind of making slight adjustments to them, to his 3 up front or his this kind of more standard one. Yeah, there isn't really much to be gained from swinging wildly or shoot firing from the hip. I think that's just my personal opinion as chairman with the experience I've had of watching it.
Have to be honest and say though that I'm sorry if I interrupted. I wasn't meaning, but
okay.
I mean, a lot of the defeats he's had is it's been close games, and I mean his tactics haven't maybe not been spot on, but he's been close to taking much more points. This tactic looked like, I mean, it looked like he watched one of Hul's one of my first games this season and thought, I'm gonna try this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it's
back to basics. I think
it's easy to be clever when you're not. Because I was the same. Yeah, I tried various formations, long ball and stuff like that when I was at the bottom and didn't win a single one of my 13 home games or whatever it was. So yeah, you try different things, but yeah, overall, I think that's put the nail on the head there. It should really be back to basics. You can even start with a 4-4-2. Can't really be worse than what happened here. Anyway, enough reveling in other people's misery. Let's let's have a look at Gazelle's. Patrick Kluivert, 4 goals. I mean, that's an incredible return. He has 2 assists as well. Performance of the season, Chris Mack, for you, for Kluivert there. 2 assists and 4 goals in a 7-1 victory.
Well, is it, as men against boys? I mean, flat track bully, whatever you want to call it. Is it the performance of the season against a defensive line bereft of any leadership or anything? I mean, it's probably easy pickings for him, shooting fish in a barrel. So I'd have expected somebody to crop up here and get 3 or 4 goals, quite frankly.
Raul wasteful, Jens, is that a strong word? He had 11 shots, 7 on target, and only scored 2 goals. I mean, at the end, Babos hasn't done too badly, has he? Really? I mean, he saved 9. He saved 9 shots on goal, and he still only gets a 6. What do you think, Jens? A bit harsh, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how all those goals came, but yeah, Raul could probably have scored more, but he gets 2 from him, and he's gotten some. I think he's gotten some goals from him already. I'm no big fan of Raul in the game. I think Ryan had him and did well in the Super League for him as well. But for me in home saves, he's not one of the players I would pick. But I think yeah, it wasn't that much, but 2 now, so he's got 4. So yeah, it's not that bad. If Kluivert scores a lot of goals and Raul can,
chip in with a few as well.
Chip in with a few, yeah, and he's got. It looks good for Gazelles.
Ryan, any last words on this one?
Yeah, just to finish on Jan's comment on Raul, though, he never ever pulled up any trees for me, but I was always a better team on the whole with him in the lineup. I mean, he was never the stand-up performer, never the man of the match, never really got a bag full of goals, but the team always performed better with him than with someone else there.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. I think so. Yeah, I think it's the same with Zidane as well, a little bit. Never performs like gives you those ratings that you want. But I think with players with that many 20s and those kind of stats in the team, you're bound to have to play a good game.
I think you could probably count on half a hand the amount of 10s that Raul got in the 2 seasons with Bolton Phoenix, but he still delivered, didn't he? So, yeah, Gazelles will be happy with that definitely in terms of the goal difference as well. That's gonna help them along. Next up, we don't have Hools. We have Lokomotiv Boston against Northern Bern. So that's another interesting one. Let's have a look at Boston and their lineup. Currently sitting second in the league, Lokomotiv Boston, with their. I mean, it's. I can't keep calling them different kind of players and players you haven't really heard of, because we've got Filippo Inzaghi in there. They've still got Amoroso and Elba. Ricardinho quite far back on the pitch here, leaving a bit of space there, and we'll see if that matters. Matt Holland on the bench. Frankes on the bench again. Kalatse. Ryan, your take on Boston and their sort of season so far? They're in second place, so going well for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as a manager who was kind of written off pre-season, a team which was written off pre-season, and a team which I really like and have not stopped raving about from the start of the season. I think they've done really, really well. I think that Greaves has really got an idea of what to do. A lot of people have been calling him shift houses. He's obviously got a lot of battlers there in defensive midfield. Decor, the T. I think he did have Simeone, but he let him go. But he's got Stefan Effenberger now who's in the squad. I think he's done really well in this mid-season transfer window. I think Inzaghi's a very shrewd signing, and I guess I can't fault them at all. If you have a quick look at the fixtures, and the form there is absolutely fantastic at the moment. And I don't think there's either any kind of hiding and any kind of people thinking that they're just going to roll over and fall away now. Lokomotiv Boston. I think if teams are going to get in that top six, they've got to try and beat a team like this. And I think it's a very big ask. I think they're a good team.
Yeah, I mean, apart from
manager of the season, isn't he? So far.
Apart from that defeat at Devils, they've done who are obviously top of the table. They've had a good run, yeah, with 4 wins out of 5. It's definitely looking good for them. And as you mentioned there, they're really getting the most out of players that you perhaps wouldn't necessarily expect, or that wouldn't be first. It's not as if you look at the Gazelle squad or you look at some of the other teams in the league and you go, oh wow, these guys should really be up there or thereabouts. But they have done well. And Jens, what do you think of Inzaghi? Do you think he's going to get goals for Boston?
Yeah, I think he will. Like Raul, not one I would pick. I mean, if I have Milan, Shevchenko always delivers way better numbers than him. But of course, he's going to score goals. And I mean, as I said, I think I had them bottom. I think before the season, looking at their players. But I think Greaves has been manager of the season so far. I think he's done very well, and they're extremely solid. I mean, that back, what is it, back 6? It's hard to get past, and Barthez in goal as well.
I was going to say, if I could draw your attention to Fabian Barthez, he's definitely. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the amount of 20s really he's got compared to Oliver Kahn, he's got practically, well, he's got 1, yeah, hasn't he? But he's been rock solid, hasn't he? And Cannavaro is not a bad. I mean, he's not got a good average, but he's a very, very good central defender. So yeah,
it's a solid lineup. I mean, I love the signing of Dakor as well. I think he's got everything you want from a warrior.
Got it from Ladisford as well. Wow, well, he's definitely.
Such a strange. I think it was such a strange transfer, if I do say so, on Algi's part. I didn't really get what he was trying to go for. He brought Simeone in and let Decor go, and for me, I was a bit miffed by it. But he says he prefers Simeone on the game. But yeah, Decor for me all day long.
Fair play. We'll have a look at their opponents tonight. Northern Burn. Chris Mack, you're in such a friendly and cheerful mood. What do you make of it?
Can we just say, right, normally these panel shows and whatever else you watch, and even pundits and that kind of stuff, you generally have the curmudgeon, whether it's Roy Keane, in politics, it might be fucking Nigel Farage or something like that. I am playing that role tonight of just being bitterly disappointed with everything that isn't Colchester related. So, with all due respect, right, a quick shout out to Greaves here. For me, pound for pound, best manager in the league, right? I wrote him off at the start of the season, and I eat humble pie every week. He is doing an elite job. Completely mean that.
Similar to your own efforts with the Panathinaikos last season, perhaps. Or has that been too generous?
That's probably been a bit too generous. I think Parma side last year were better than Greaves' team this year. Well, pre-transfers anyway. Greaves' transfer business is outstanding. On to Northern Burn, just conscious to keep the show moving. This absolutely baffles me. Again, it's another team that has balance, has plenty of star power, looks like you should be able to get fantastic results out of them. It's the formation, and I really do feel sorry for him because he's tried so much. The only thing I would suggest with this is perhaps George Artos, Zambrotta, drop them to wing back. Davis, Gattuso as they are. Albertini centre mid. Robin and Henry in AM. Arrows forward and go from there. And I'd swap Sylvester and Samuel around as well.
But this is the tactic that got 3 points from us, isn't it?
Yeah. There was he beat. That was his own.
It is, Jens,
It was his only win of the season came with this formation. So yeah.
But that's exactly my point. He's had one win all season, and if I recall, weren't you the better side in that game, Jens? Statistically,
I think we were. Yeah.
So that's this just worries me. That looks like a very high attacking line. So unless you are dominating the ball, you can be caught on the counter. So it's probably just a little bit too ambitious for me. And again, it beggars belief that Northern Burn aren't higher in the table given the star power in the squad.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's got Thierry Henry. He's come in and he's done well for him. So we'll see how he does tonight. Predictions around the room. Ryan, what do you think? Northern Burn, can they get something here?
It's purely on form because I think Northern Burn are a better team on paper, but on form, Locomotive win this 2-3 now.
And Jens, for you, what do you think? Northern Burn, can they repeat what they did against you?
Yeah, I think I said on Friday, just to rattle the cage a little bit, that I love that Locomotive Boston side, but yeah, let's go. They're gonna get the 3 points soon, so why not tonight?
Oh, well, it's possible. And finally, Chris Mack, what do you think?
Sorry, just on mute. Yeah, Greavesy to win this game, I think. Although Northern Burn will score, I want to say 3-1 Boston.
Well, in that case, let's have a quick look and see how it goes when Locomotive Boston takes on Northern Burn. First half about to kick off. We're back on full speed. Oh, good. A Kessman coming forward there for Northern Burn, threatening to open the scoring. Kessman threatening a few times, actually.
I was saying, usually Kesman doesn't touch the ball in the first half, does he? It's usually right.
Yeah, well, it's evened itself out a little bit after that, but Northern Burn definitely had the better start. We've seen Insagi's name a couple of times as well, but think it's going to run to halftime, maybe? No, it's not. Filippo Inzaghi, his first goal for Boston was that. Oh, and there's Ricardinho with the goal immediately after. No, it wasn't going to run till halftime. Poor prediction from me there. Nope. I thought I saw Kessman, but clearly I didn't. Or clearly he was doing something else that wasn't related to attacking or scoring goals. So that's a bit of a shame. Poor goalkeeping display as well. Only 3 shots on target. Is it just me, or did it look like Northern Burn had a couple of chances there in the beginning?
Potentially, yeah. Not too sure what's happened.
Kessman hit a 30-yard ball. That's not what you want to see, is it? Kessman hit a 30-yard ball to Jagatos. Throw in. That's a little bit painful. Now maybe there wasn't any chances. Inzaghi outjumped the goalkeeper. Maybe there weren't any chances. Inzaghi.
You don't really want Henry defending against Inzaghi, do you?
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't want that if you could avoid it. Ricardinho as well with an easy goal there. Let's have a look at Northern Burn and see if Ian's got any changes to make at half time. Albertini and Toldo obviously not doing particularly well. I mean, none of the players doing particularly well, to be honest. Sean Davies probably, and Michael Sylvester as well. It's not the players at his disposal, is it? Really? I mean, there's got to be something else behind this. I don't know.
I say this kind of every week, but you mean, as someone who's privy and has access to the tactics, you mean there isn't much difference between the Northern Burn tactics and the other team tactics. I think he's doing a lot of things very, very well, and sometimes some of these results just can go completely over my head. I've got every faith that Northern Burn can and will turn it around eventually. I don't think he's going to turn it around with this kind of tactic with the wide wingers, but and he's got a couple of injuries which will make a huge difference when he gets back. Gerard and Van Bommel, I want to say, but yeah, not this week.
Yeah, because I mean, he obviously, I'm sure he had 4 transfers, so he must have done something to improve the squad. But we'll obviously see.
He's got Robin in.
Sorry.
he's brought Robin and Gattuso in the starting lineup and Henri obviously from Aston.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, we'll see. Down the other end, Jens, you're a big fan of Lokomotiv Boston. I guess you're still a big fan of Lokomotiv Boston at halftime. That looks like a very dominant performance from them.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it didn't look like that on the colors when the game were running, but I mean, they scored 2 late goals and it's solid all over the field. I mean, you can't ask for much more than this after one half. Ricardinho has been a revelation since I think he picked him up from the reserves and started playing him. So I thought he was doing even better, but I mean, it's
still
just
bad.
so solid. It's just so solid.
From a central midfield position to have 5 games, 2 goals, and assist, and 740 average, and on his way to probably more. That's not a bad one.
Definitely.
It's not a bad one.
I mean, the main thing here is he's got 3 goal scorers up front. Ricardinho chips in as well, and I mean, Northern Bern hasn't had a shot at all, and they're really, really solid.
Yeah.
And with that defensive wall, you can't really see them giving away 2 goals, can you? Against any team.
No, that's going to be a tricky one. We'll fire up the second half and we'll get Chris Mack's thoughts at the end of the game.
Franca substitution?
Yeah, I think I did that already.
Oh, sorry, I thought I missed that. Sorry.
All right. Right, so there was a substitution there for Northern Bern. Petkov has come in for Albertini. We'll see if that makes any changes or allows him to be a little bit more creative going forward. Doesn't necessarily look like it. I mean, I have seen some yellow and gold or some white and gold, but that wasn't a guarantee for shots in the first half. I don't know if it is in the second.
I definitely see Kesman effort there a minute ago. I don't know what's happened. I think Petkov definitely a better player than Albertini in the game.
Yeah, he's definitely contributed more as far as I can see. On there is Kesman. Northern Bern in with a shout. Can they get a second? 12 minutes left to play. It is. No, that's Franca sealing it for. No, he can't. Lausen that's got to be a straight swap for Kalatse, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It is. So that's fine. Let's see. Loco sub. Oh, I don't know. I must have done it so quickly so everyone missed it in the comments. Or are my comments dead?
Mecca had 3-1, hasn't he?
Are your comments dead?
I don't know. Am I? Do I not see new comments? Can someone write something in the chat, please?
I think you're fine. Bern asked for a sub. Yeah, they got a sub. Rob.
Yeah. We sub Petkov for him, and I sub Franca for Amoroso. All right, okay. Oh no, maybe it's just a little bit of a delay. I don't know why it came up there. Oh right, okay. Yeah. I see you.
I'll be honest with you. I think you were talking about something else while she did the Franca substitution.
Multitasking.
Misdirection.
All these 30, 40-year-old guys getting confused by multitasking. Who would have thought today? Lokomotiv Boston, dominant display from them. It got a little bit interesting in the second half when Northern Bern brought it back to 2-1, Chris Mack. But at the end of the day, there wasn't really never in doubt. Is that fair to say?
No, not at all. My memory's that shit. I think I said 3-1 Boston or whatever, but yeah, just very, very comfortable again. They look ominous, Boston. I tipped Gazelles at the start of the season to win it. It wouldn't surprise me if Boston Gazelles are in the final, quite frankly. Greaves has just got on purring and they look a really, really good side.
Yeah, I mean, slightly better from Northern Bern in the second half, and they did get the goal. Kesman, that's his 6th of the season as well, so not too bad. But obviously, Toldo has not been doing. He's not had a bad average, but that's 2 goal an average that he's letting in. That's not been great. Gattuso didn't have the best. He's not had the best start either. So yeah, it's all a little bit unfortunate. Let's not dwell too much on it. Let's have a quick look at the Boston side instead. Ricardinho, man of the match. Ryan, you agree? Ricardinho, he was brought up from the reserves, wasn't he?
Yeah, I quite like him. He's a player I've had on a couple of home saves, especially when I go to South America. I like picking him up. Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly surprised. I think he's probably maybe a poor man's Alex, but we've seen how Alex is playing for Dudley Hill, and then contrasting that to Ricardinho, and Greaves is going to be absolutely delighted with his performances. That's a man of the match.
Mhm.
That's a goal every other game, especially when he's got, which is great when he's got 3 strikers in front of him, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, who fancies 2 assists for Emmanuel Petit? No one had that on their on their predictions, I think. But look at his stat. I mean, how has he not been a regular in this in the Super League? Maybe he has, and I just missed it. But definitely a strong performer the first couple of seasons. Maybe his age is putting people off as well. The last thing I wanted to touch on, Franca, Chris Mack. Who did you swap for Franca?
I want to say Victorino, I think, from memory.
Okay. Frank, well, I was going to say you've probably got plenty of options, so Franco wasn't someone you were interested in holding on to, but he's had a good start to his Boston career. Um, that's it really. Jens, any final words on this one?
No, you can proceed.
You've got your drink. That's good. Right. In that case, let's move on to where are we at now? We're at Sloths next, aren't we? We're at Sloths as they take on Lettersford Sloths in fifth place. Let's see who we've got here.
I'm quite excited for this one. This is one of the ones I was really looking forward to.
You're looking forward to this one. Well, tell us why, Ryan. Why are you looking forward to the Sloths game in particular?
I think the Sloths have been a really good watch this season. I think some games have been absolutely fantastic. Other games have been terrible. Obviously, got a few legends or myths, however you want to look at them. Roberto, Scally, David Collins, even Ebe Sand, you could potentially say one of those players who, you look at that team and you think in real life they weren't really a gang of world beaters, maybe with the exception of De Roberto was okay, Fiore okay, but yeah.
Desai,
But then
probably multiple Champions League winning and world champion, you would have thought would be kind of okay. I appreciate he's playing maybe not as good in the game as he because he's getting on a little bit, but definitely one of the good players. But
yeah,
yes,
that might be a little bit unfair, but yeah, Sloths. I think it's been really good fun to watch, especially with the kind of added bonus of seeing David Collins in the Super League and doing business as well. So and I think they've got a guaranteed assist every other game in Zero Roberto, if not more.
yeah, strong player, Sir Roberto. Obviously, 12 games, 7 assists, and 4 man of the match. That's pretty good for a left-sided midfielder. Jens, what do you make of Sloths? They're obviously using players that we aren't necessarily going to be familiar with. Not that we don't know who they are, but they're not people that we'd normally select ourselves. Sir Roberto may be the exception.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, Macas, he should have a field day with his team, but being the mythbuster he is. But as Roberto is not a myth, he was a brilliant player in real life as well, and he's one of the best players in the game for me. But kind of like the Boston side, looking at those players at the start of the season, I really didn't fancy them, to be honest. I know, and I played Scally and Collins and had huge success with them on home saves, but at this level, it's impressive how they've been doing, and I think it's a lot of credit to the manager and Mr. Palmer to getting that team to click. They've been a little bit up and down, not as solid and consistent as Lokomotiv Boston, but yeah, definitely a contender for the top six if Collins,
Yeah,
especially Collins,
if he
if he
continues.
continues. I mean, those two wingbacks are very solid in my opinion. And if Scally does the business in that defensive midfield and Collins chips in with goals, and he's getting Totti as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
losing to Marty though, which I really like. I mean, Totti's fantastic, but Tomasi, I think he's low-key underrated, and he's obviously choosing Scally ahead of him. And interesting to see what formation he goes with.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'd try to sign Tomasi pretty hard myself at the start of the season. I absolutely love him, but I mean, if you can get Totti to click in that between Fiore and Collins as well, and he finds a way to organize behind them, it's going to be interesting to see.
I was going to say maybe he could play him in the central midfield. And interested, Chris Mack, where do you stand on that? Defensive midfielders or AMCs in the central midfield in the MC role? So if you're looking at Tomasi here, if you were going to, would you prefer an AMC in that role rather than a defensive midfielder?
It all depends on the stats. So I think, I've been quite vocal in saying I tend to like, artists and whatnot. So I'll look for creativity, passing, whatever. If a DMC's got that, he'll play there. If an AMC's got that, he'll play there. So I don't get too hung up on the AM or DM aspect of it. Just more the statistical piece of, can they move about the pitch? Will they work hard? Have they got some creativity in passing? Yeah, right, stick them in then.
So for you, with creativity of 12, dribbling 11, passing of 15, maybe a little bit on the low side for that particular position?
Yeah, a little bit. He's probably going to play some basic passes. He'll do a tidy up job. Again, if he just gets the ball to the three players in front of him, that's probably all Rob and Joe want him to do. So from that aspect, yeah, fine. Whereas if you notice, whenever I've played that formation or something similar, I'll put Veron there because I want him to dictate play. So for me, it'll be how quick are they moving the ball through the field. I think Recoba and Fiore's flair, creativity, and passing isn't too bad. Obviously, Collins is bizarrely lethal. Ebe Sand, Joe likes him, I don't, but he's scoring a few goals. So yeah, really, I think Totti's an upgrade. I'd probably put Totti where Recoba is, Recoba where Fiore is, and Fiore where Tomasi is.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see when they get Totti in and how they fit him in, and if anyone can get a tune out of Totti, he's kind of like a Raúl Zidane kind of player that people occasionally are struggling with. Talking about struggling, Lettersford, where are they here? Yeah, I mean they've had their ups and downs, and currently they're on one of their on one of their downs. A similar-ish formation, just with the extra DMC, but a pretty strong squad. What do you reckon of Ryan of Lettersford's season?
As you kind of said, it's been up and down, hasn't it? He's got maybe similar to Sloths. He's got a few players in there who may not be huge names in outside of Champ. I'm talking about Kutkov, Volodenko, Patsat Salglus, Sorochinsky. I mean, they were good players, but maybe better players on Champ. Yeah, he's had that. He's kind of changed from that strange formation he was playing with the one at the back. He's always stuck with just one striker. He's let Inzaghi go. He chose Morientes ahead of Montella, which I think is more understandable when you look at Montella's season so far. He's not really got him clicking at all.
Oh gosh, no.
But yeah, it's one of those. On paper, I think it's a really, really balanced, solid 11. I don't think outside that 11 he's got many options. But
he's got Lee Chun-So. Lee Chun-So, 7-6. I suppose he's had a terrible run recently. I was going to say, how come he's on the bench? He's obviously got a new signing, Diego Simeone in there as well.
Vogel's been his main man, hasn't it? Vogel's been, I think, the top performer this season. I think he's going to need more of that. Yeah, he just needs to get a couple of wins on the board, doesn't he?
Yeah. He did have a habit of going on runs, whether they were bad or good with Ardsley. So we'll see if that changes tonight. Jens, what do you make of Lettersford? Who do you think is their key player in terms of who's going to be performing if they are to get a result tonight?
I think he needs to get one of his he has to choose one striker, and he has to play him, and he has to get him scoring. Robbie Keane is going to chip in with goals, but he's so inconsistent. I think his backline looks solid. I'm not sure if Patsatsoglu is a center back for me. Never used him there before myself. I see he has Giuliano there, who I think is a decent choice. But I mean, tactic looks all right, but he needs to get his strikers firing.
Yeah, that's one of those things that really makes a huge difference if you have a regular goal scorer, obviously. We'll give him number 36. Chris Mack, your prediction for this one?
Just put it in the chat. I think 2-1 Sloths.
2-1 Sloths.
But I would like to change that, actually. I think it could be 2-2 because that Lettersford AMC, it's 3 versus the Myth. So we'll see how he gets on.
Well, we'll see how Scally the Myths gets on tonight. Jens, who do you think is going to win this one?
Every time I predict Slots, I predict them to lose, and every time I'm being ridiculed at Twitter, so now I'm going to say 5 or 6-0 to Slots.
Well, we'll see if it goes that bad for Lettersford. Ryan, do you think Lettersford can keep it under 5?
I think they'll keep it under 5, but I think it'll be a Sloths win, maybe
All right.
2-1,
Okay.
3-1.
Possibly. Let's have a look and see if David Collins can continue his meteoric rise to fame in the famous black and red Sloths colours, or if some of Leathersfoot's more established players will come good tonight. They've definitely had the better start of it. I'm not entirely sure why that chance fell to Nesta, but there we go. They'll maybe get a better chance for someone else at some point. Plenty of action in the first 15 minutes. Probably a good three or
Been
four
good, hasn't it? Been very
three or
good.
four chances for either side. Kutuzov also someone that you could maybe expect more of. Oh, there was Collins.
Oh,
Oh
can't
my
miss that.
goodness,
That
it's a Kevin Keegan football all around. Oh, it's Johan Vogel who opens the scoring for Leathersford. Did point him out as one of the top performers for them this season, and he's obviously done a brilliant job here, getting the goal for Leathersford. Let's see. Oh yeah, definitely. Very, very open and very even game. 15 shots in total, 5 each on target. Passes completed, tackles and headers a little bit in Sloth's favour, but it's Leathersford who has been the slightly more cynical in terms of getting the goal. Let's see how it came about. He elegantly controlled the ball. He went on a bit of a run there, Johan Vogel. A bit of a surprise. Didn't see him scoring goals like that in his glory days as a player, but definitely well taken goal by him there. Let's have a look at how the stats are for the players. It's not vintage, is it? How few passes have that? And I suppose if you don't pass a lot, then you're not losing the ball a lot. Nesta with 5 passes, 2 completed. That's that's a little bit odd of a first half performance. Jens, what do you make of such low passing numbers? A little bit unusual, isn't it?
I was just looking at that myself. It's yeah, it's low numbers. Maybe they're playing I don't know, a direct kind of passing. I mean, it seems to work. They're 1-0 up away, and I mean they desperately need to get a win. I think they've been in a bad run. So no, if we can keep it like this, we will be pleased.
Yeah, definitely will be. I mean, not much else to say about that. If we look at the Sloth side, so the myth one of the myths, Scally is on a 7. He's put in a fairly solid performance in that defensive midfield role up against the 4. Collins, he's had a chance which was saved by, so a very good goalkeeping performance if we can say that. Do you see this changing in the second half? Chris, what do you think? Sloths.
Yeah, I think there's another goal. I'm not sure who scores it though. To be honest, it's tough to call. A Leathersford win would be absolutely fantastic though.
I'll just do that quick substitution there. Palermo for Sand, I think. Oh, where are we here? Sand for Palermo. I don't see Hodgie about, do I? No, I don't think so. We didn't, did we?
I'm not saying Hodgie, no.
No. Okay, right. Well, we'll leave it at that then. Eversand, yeah, I mean, he worked so well for Parma in Panathinaikos in that season 1. He was one of the top scorers in the league, but he's not really been that good. But neither's Palermo. Palermo's not even scored, so they are really relying on Collins for that. I mean, if you look, sometimes when we look at the stats, they're really quite low. Or sorry, the ratings here, and they're quite low, and we say it's not been one for the neutrals, but it's definitely been one for the neutrals tonight. Ryan, do you see this continuing in the second half? Plenty of chances for both sides.
Yeah, potentially. It's been great, very enjoyable 1-0. Could have gone either way, in my opinion. Leathersford definitely had the better start, but Slough came more and more into it. They'll be hoping to keep that momentum going into the second half and hopefully get one back.
Yeah, well,
it could. They'll hope the open game kind of continues.
Oh, Hodgie is around. Leave it, he says. That's good. We will leave it.
He's got Vogel at Collins to match up with Collins, hasn't he, in that formation?
Yeah. It's it's a wise move there. We'll see how it goes in the second half. Oh, speed thing. good. Roberto coming forward there. He is obviously the assist man, but it's Palermo who came off the bench for Ebisand, who's equalised for Spartak's loss. But Kutuzov has a goal disallowed. It continues to be action-packed here in the second half. I thought Ledesford had taken the lead there, and probably so did most people watching, but it is... Oh dear, here we go again. David Collins, his 9th of the season. He's definitely not letting anyone get ahead of him in the goal scoring charts. But there's Morientes with the equaliser for Ledesford. It's an excellent second half with chances at both ends. Goal disallowed for Ledesford as well.
Wayne Dade getting involved.
Yeah. 5 minutes left. Let's see if we can get a red or a yellow or a goal or something. Bit of action. Nope. It stays at 2-2. Yeah, 2-2. I mean, game of the evening so far in terms of action, in terms of chances. I mean, fair result when you look at the distribution. Ryan, what do you think in terms of shots and goals and chances? You can't really say. I mean, that's a 2-2, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, that's a complete 2-2. Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't know what else to say. Slots maybe having a little bit more, they have more passes and more tackles, percentage won, slightly more possession. But yeah, I think at half time, Rob would have taken that, I think.
Yeah, probably would have.
And I think Palmer was criticising him for taking Ebisand off, and then Palermo came up with a goal. So
yeah, and it was
to get back in your cupboard.
And it was a Collins assist, just to add, and then Palermo. I think Palermo then made an assist for Collins. That's a partnership in the making there with David Collins and Palermo. Bolodenko ran into Desai. Morientes picked up a loose ball and then got the goal. Let's see if they manage some more passes in the second half. Overall, yes, they definitely did. A decent second half display from Ledesford and a draw against a Sloth side that's going relatively well. Jens, it's all about Ledesford starting to pick up some points again and getting back in the playoff chase. So they'll probably be sort of okay-ish satisfied with this result, and maybe one or two performances that could have been slightly better.
Yeah, but I mean, leading at halftime, you want to win the game, but if you asked him before the game if he would take a point, maybe he would. He's still, I think he played one game less. He didn't play last game week, I think. And he's around in that area where we are as well, just a point or two behind the playoff. So it's a lot of games left. So he's definitely in the mix.
And if you look at the Sloths, Chris, David Collins, man of the match.
Still don't mean he's good. It's just it's a quirk of the game. Whatever, I'm not bothered. A draw's a good result for me, so David Collins can go back in his cupboard. He was quiet against Fulchester. People just need to watch and learn how to deal with these myths. They need to be put back in the boxes. Look at that, decisions 3. How the fuck does he know when to shoot with a decision 3?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe
David Collins' decision is always shoot.
I suppose that could be the logic. A little bit in the style of Tomadera and some of these guys with just a few sort of banger stats here and there. And I think I'm not sure if Mr. Leisure Suit, Mr. Pike has not sure if he explained it in simple enough terms for me to understand, but there's some kind of benefit to having fewer very high stats and some lower stats. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I'm also not bothered, so I didn't look further into it. Ryan, your last words on this game before we move on to Haggis and Devils.
Enjoyable game. That's all I need to say. I thought Sloths, you look at the ratings, probably deserved it, but looking at the match stats, I think 2-2 is a fair result.
Yeah, it was definitely enjoyable. Shame for Kutuzov to have that goal disallowed. And his 6 average is not impressing anyone at the moment. But there we go. Next up, we have got Swindon Devils against the Haggis Hunters. I know that Ian's been looking for. He was poor Ian. He was on the comp so early, and he's had to wait. I think it was 10-15 minutes early. I'm not sure if he's still here. Let's see.
Yeah, I should have mentioned it actually. He's been in Miver in the last couple of weeks. If he can get on early. Yeah, I forgot to mention that we could have put them up first, couldn't we?
But... right, okay, well.
It is what it is.
Exactly. So we've got the Devils against
all he needs now is him to have one of those ghost games and he can be on last again.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's not well, we don't know until we press OK for him, do we? But here's the Devils, top of the league. Who wants to go first to explain that one to me? This is like
Jens,
when I ask my
Jens,
daughter
you
a
go.
difficult question, why she's wearing that top and not like an actual jacket. There's silence.
Hang on, I was going to say, Martin, is it just me or does that look like really well balanced? I mean, I don't know who Christian Diaz is, to be honest. He can go on the myth list. But Kivu and Brown are solid and will be absolutely deadly in Season 2. Van Bronckhorst and Gravison, possibly an area of weakness. But wings, I assume Diaz is all right. Dyer's decent if he stays fit. Going forward, get the ball into Mpenza, who seems to be doing the business. I think that's a really solid, well-balanced formation, to be honest.
Yeah, to answer, first of all, I agree. And secondly, I think to answer Ian's question, what's up with Montero? I think it's one of those quirks of the restart. Is that right, Ryan, that everyone
Yeah,
goes with the.
he should be suspended, but the player that Fifey basically put on his bench ended up being injured. I think so. I actually put Montero back. Yeah, that's how it ended up. So.
Right. Okay. So it's just a quirk of the situation. Yeah. But very good point. Very good point there, Chris Mack. There with the balance of the side, the players that he's got at his disposal. Happy to see Gravison getting a game. Obviously, it's always nice to see my homeboys having a run out in the league. I didn't expect many of them, but I don't think we were particularly good around that particular time. So it's always good to see one or two of them getting a game. Dyer out on that side. Christian Diaz on the left hand side. That's a bit of a surprise for me, but I guess it could work. Jens, what do you make of Swindon Devils? You're new to the league, but you must have heard of Swindon's previous exploits and performances. They didn't exactly have a good couple of seasons, but they've definitely turned it around now.
Yeah, I mean, Fife likes to still talk about that and try and talk his chances down, but I wonder if that, I don't know what you call it, the mystery tactic wheel or whatever, is it gone? Because now I think he's put up the same formation like 3 or 4 times in a row.
Oh, the random
So
tactic generator.
the random tactic generator, yeah. No, I think it looks like he's found something he likes, and that's understandable because he's in red hot form. And I mean, I completely agree with Macca. It looks so balanced, and I think there's quality everywhere. Diaz, I don't know, me neither, but Dyer at that DMR, Emerson in midfield, those two guys behind Mpenza, who's in deadly form. I mean, this is a very, very strong side. Definitely.
He starts at Mallorca, does he? Doesn't look like it.
I think it was discussed in the comments last time. I don't remember where it's. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Of course, if he is at Mallorca and then we move him out for the start, maybe that's why he disappears. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
probably.
I know who he is. Sorry, that's fine. Yeah,
The
no.
only thing I want to, I saw he sold Vasiliuk, I think, to Macca. In my experience, Mpenza gets injured a lot, so it would be interesting to see what he does when that happens. If Kevin Phillips is gonna, Roy Mackay, I have no love for him. I don't think he's any good. If Kevin Phillips is gonna, yeah, get a chance, not the same class as Mpenza, maybe we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if they can keep it up. I mean, long may it continue. They certainly deserve it after what they've been through and all of the efforts that Fifey's put into the league over the years. It's good to see him getting a run. Let's move over, Chris Mack, to your friends, the Hackies Hunters.
Wow.
That's an interesting one. I'm again the sort of the defensive half of the pitch looks pretty good, very solid. Looks like it'd be difficult to break down. Nice and balanced. Nedved, Brozek, Larson up top, and with the width, I think I know what he's trying to do. But to not have anything in AMC, like Nedved in AMC or even Brozek, I'm not sure what the thinking is behind that, to be honest. But you never know. He's going to end up playing three up top. It's just how can he get Rosicky and Petrov to get the ball to Nedved, Brozek, and Larson? I'd have potentially swap Nedved and Brozek over because Nedved's left-footed, Brozek's right-footed, and maybe put long shots on with Larson forward runs to try and pick up the pieces because they're more likely to cut inside there, I think. I mean, or maybe I'm overthinking the game engine. So it looks okay. I'll be interested to see how it works out, but I'm not wholly convinced, if I'm honest.
I mean, it could. I mean, there's a lot, as with all of with Ian and Rock's formations that they come up with. There is method to the madness. There is definitely a logic behind it. They have had success with arrows on players before, where people have ruled them out and said, no, this will never work. So yeah, it's an it's an interesting one. But maybe it can work out. Who knows?
If he'd have put Nedved and Brozzek in the AMC with forward arrows, then he's just going with the ultimate title winning Bolton Phoenix tactic, isn't he? And I think he's probably worried about being basically replicating, trying to, what do you call it? He's worried about just basically going with my my blueprint.
Yeah.
So I think that if he puts them wide, no one will notice.
Well, we'll see. I think I know what's it seems that the random tactic generator has been replaced by the random self depreciation generator about things that worries Fifey. There are many things that worry him. Pretty much everything that any of his upcoming opponents do worry him or gives him cause for concern. So I guess it's called at the top, Fifey. This is you had a free ride down at the bottom, free hit every week in the second half of the season.
I was going to ask you, do you know, what's your opinion on the key difference between Fifey managing in the league this season and in previous situations in the Super League? What's one key difference you think which may be impacting how he lines up?
I mean, I think looking at it, I think his squad is obviously better than I mean, I don't know what has gone in the past. I didn't follow it that closely, to be completely honest, prior to the last couple of seasons. I didn't. I mean, I watched the shows when I was playing, obviously, but I was not fully into it. From what I've seen the weeks I've been in charge, there's less sort of like there's less of the tinkering. There's less of the kind of that thing that we spoke about earlier with the tactics. There's less of this kind of like, oh, I'm going to try something left wing. I'm going to try something. The games I've seen Swindon play, he's had a solid formation. He's had the flat back, not the flat back four, but the four in front of in at DMC roles. I think it's just been a little bit more sort of like solid, and then plus he's had a much better squad at his disposal. So I think combination of the two. A good squad doesn't buy you anything. People have finished low with I mean, good squads finish outside of the playoffs every season, and good coaches finish there as well because it's difficult. It's a difficult league. It's difficult to do well. In all the squads are good. All the managers knows what they're doing. So,
do you think that Fifey owning the game has had any kind of impact on him having a more consistent approach?
I don't know. It's difficult to say. You'd have to ask him really what he's made of it. I think, I mean, just looking at it, if you get 2 or 3 good results, I think a lot of it comes down to results as well, and how you start your season and how you deal with it, because it's very easy to head into like a downward spiral of it's not going well, so I'm going to do this, 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 not necessarily with any real benefit to yourself or the team, but I'm not sure. I like the formation. The players are decent, and if they're in good form, then I think that's kind of what that's what keeps people motivated to use similar formations and not do too big changes, which I think is something that you should really test out yourself in a home save. Try and change your tactics 4 games in a row. Replay the same 4 games and save it under a different name. Then replay those 4 games using the same tactic all 4 games, and see how it impacts your results when you change your tactics really, really, really often. If that actually has anything to do in the actual game itself. So, monologue over. Predictions, gentlemen. Devils to continue their meteoric rise to the which will no doubt culminate in a Super League final, or what?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm no fan of the AML and AMR in the game. I don't think I ever used it except from the latest updates. I think the Devils are in too good a form to drop points here. 3-1 Devils.
Chris Mack. Devils for you, or the Hunters?
Yeah, no, same as Jens, 3-1 Devils.
Everyone says 3-1. Ryan, are you gonna go for a Desmond or what? I haven't heard a single Desmond. Desmond. Every time I'm not on, it's Desmond. And now finally, when I'm here, no one said 2-2.
No, I think with Paulo Montero being on the bench, he's probably having more of an input into. He's not going to have the impact he usually has. So I think Haggis might do something here. I'll go for a Haggis win.
Oh,
2-1.
brave. Let's kick it off and see what happens in the first half. First chance of
Interesting
the
to see Brozek getting a game for season 1. Obviously, I think it's his first one.
lethal Impensa. How many goals has he got this season now? We can have a look at half time. He's got to be up there in the tens as well, isn't he?
I think he's on 13. He's definitely the top goal scorer in the league.
Oh, if he wasn't before,
Even
he is
more
now.
so now.
That's sort of reminiscent of the. I was going to say it's reminiscent of the BTEC performance, not BTEC, the Northern Burn performance for Haggis Hunters. They're trying, but not really. And then just Devils with the quality that they've got at their disposal. Just yeah, I mean oh, that's not gone well for the Haggis goalkeeper. 3 shots, all three in. I'm waiting for Fifey to say 3-0 is the most dangerous lead you can have at half time. but we'll see. We'll see what he says. It's not the ball's not been down there that much, but they've obviously been doing very well. The Haggis Hunters, and Penta was there to apply the finish. It was Brown with the assist, Gravison with another assist. Thomas Gravison doing pretty well in Barry Ferguson's absence here, I must say. And Ronaldinho, what did he do? He just dribbled past the whole team. Let's have a look at the Haggis Hunters. Jens, you mentioned you weren't impressed with the use of the AMLs. I guess you've not seen anything to change your mind on that particular topic.
No, they're getting a thumping, aren't they? It doesn't look good for Haggis. Actually, they've been in a bad form. I mean, when you got Patrick Vieira and you got he's got so many good players there. I would expect more, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I think if I can, without having a go at a particular club, this illustrates my point perfectly. You've been on a bit of a bad run. You're not entirely sure what you do. You're playing the league leaders away from home. This is what you do. That's why you finish in the bottom. That's
my point, Martin. Right, if you're playing Gravison and who else is it?
Van Bronckhorst.
Van Bronckhorst, right? Van Bronckhorst, okay. Gravison, not much. There's no pressure on them at all. Like, you've put Nedved and Brozek against his fullback, so they're just marking about the game. So Van Bronckhorst and Gravison have got the freedom of the pitch to do whatever they want. Like, there's no pressure on them at all. That's why I thought he should have played an AMC rather than an AML or an AMR.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree. And looking at the first half performance, one key pass for Nedved, it's difficult to disagree. I mean, they are up against the league leaders. Iker Casillas has had an absolute fucking mare. Ryan, you're familiar with Iker Casillas and the games that he can do, and the games that he's likely to throw in like these as well.
Yeah, first couple of games of the season, and in the playoffs, Iker Casillas is probably the best goalkeeper in the game. Mid-season game, no point in being there. I might as well go no keeper in there.
Oh, it's gusty conditions as well, is it? Oh, gusty. Oh, well, that's him done for then. There's not much you can do then. I mean, if there's any suffering from wind, true. If there's any consolation for the Haggis Hunters, it is that Diaz, Dyer, and Kivu are all on yellow cards, so they could obviously be sent off in the in early second half. Jens, do you see anything changing in the second half, or Devils to continue on cruise control here?
The Devils are going to win, of course, if they get a red card, and Haggis can come a little bit more into the game. But this game is done. And Pensa he's getting the best out of him. He's in red hot form. 13, impressive stuff.
13 for the season now in 11 starts after this one, so that's a pretty good return from him. We'll kick off the second half and see if the Devils can continue, or if Haggis Hunters can at least make it look a little bit more respectable. Oh, no, looks like they've done something as well. I mean, I saw a Gat already having an impact. Henrik Larsson trying as well, but that's 20 minutes in and they haven't scored, so that's probably unlikely to be a 3-3. Still got, 10 minutes left to go. Agat coming forward again. He has done better than Rosicky did in the first half, but yeah, just kind of.
There's a very Celtic feel to the Haggis Hunters lineup, isn't there? With Gats and Larson.
Yeah, I don't know if they were assigned to them or if he's actually picked them up, but yeah, a bit of a non-event the second half. Haggis Hunters a little bit more into it, but I presume that that as mentioned there at halftime, Devils were pretty much on cruise control, sort of fairly even distribution. Nothing to look at in terms of results. I guess that's the last time we'll see that formation. I don't know.
Yeah, he needs a reset, doesn't he? I mean, self-proclaimed by the lads from north of the wall that they've got a team which should be challenging for the title. And there's been a few games now in the last couple of weeks where they've been absolutely turned over. And you mean that's not what you want, is it? Really, if you're going to be challenging for the title, you should be dominating games, and they've just been absolutely hammered there. Yeah, back to basics might be in line for the boys in for the Haggis Hunters.
We could put a rule in that if a team is in a particular bad run of form, they are mandated to play 4-1-3-2 until they get a win. But yeah, no, I mean, we need to be fair as well. The Devils have been absolutely irresistible this season, and tonight was no different. Frey's doing a great job in goal. Emil Impensa, Ronaldinho. I think when he's played centrally, he can play left or right. I don't think it really matters. He's not the easiest guy to get a tune out of, is he really? I mean, Chris Mack, what do you think of Ronaldinho? Ryan mentioned on like 40 occasions that he doesn't like him playing on that side. What do you make of Ronaldinho in general? Do you ever sign him? Do you pick him up? What do you think of him in the game?
I've had him a few times, and he's been hit and miss for me on home days. Like some years he's been absolutely electric, and others he's just flattered to deceive. So the fact that Fifey's getting something out of him, fair play to him, absolutely fantastic. But he's always been too hot and cold to me. He's not somebody I'd ever, move heaven and earth to get for my teams.
I saw there that Wood mentioned in the comments you Van Bronckhorst is probably one of the best players. Van Bronckhorst is a player who goes a little bit under the radar. I think he played for Sloths in the last iteration of the Super League, and he did really, really well, despite not having brilliant sort of overall stats. Good technique and work rate and all this kind of stuff. And he's actually done a very, very solid job for the Devils as well. I don't think Barry Ferguson's going to struggle to get back in, Jens. What do you think? Do you think Barry Ferguson will find a way back into the Devils style starting lineup?
Go straight into DM again, won't he?
Yeah,
get those discussions up and running again. Your friend from Denmark is going to go, and he's going to come in. But have like Greavesy comments as well. Kieran Dyer in that position is just a beast. He's so good.
I was going to make that point. I think I made it as well early in the season when I did the Celtic Samba thing and had got 1,000 goals with Cheno Samba at Celtic. I think Kieran Dyer probably did like 50% of the assists from that right hand side. Very very good place for him to be playing. Ryan,
and he's even playing his best goalkeeper.
Well, yeah, well, would you believe it? Sepp Frey is in there. I mean, again, we're not the best at average, but now he's conceded only 12 in 10 games, so that's solid. Ryan, your take on this one? Devils, I mean, nailed on for the playoffs for sure, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I think Fifey can't continue to play his chances down. He's got a really, really strong team there, and he's setting them up well, and they're performing well. He won't be changing too much. You can guarantee over the next couple of weeks, if he keeps winning, he'll keep going. He might be a slight tinker here and there, but he'll be really, really happy with how his team are playing, and he won't want to change anything. And if he keeps scoring like this, I think it goes without saying, really, that he's nailed on for that top goal scorer spot.
Who scored the most goals in the season in the Super League? Do you know?
In the history when I've been there, I've seen Pizarro, I think, got 21 season. I think, was it 16-17 for Rossini?
21. I think Rossini ended up on 21 2 seasons ago. Last season, I can't remember if it was like 20 or something like that. It's usually around.
Montella. I think Montella was in 19. I think.
Yeah, it's usually around there. It's usually around that level. Fifey would probably be the best person to ask that question to anyway, but it'll be in there.
But I mean, in Penza with he's got 13 now.
13 in
halfway. So
halfway.
Yeah, I
So
mean, if he can
if he
stay injury free,
continues that form and goes into the playoffs, I mean, 30 goal in a season is I would have thought would be impossible with the level of defenders that we've got. But who knows? Patrick Kluivert could start as well, but both of them have missed a game or two. So, but we'll see. We'll see. We're getting to the business end of the evening now. Who have we got up next? Who did we skip first? We skipped Fulchester first. Fulchester against Astra Athletic. Chris Mack, you're up. You're on. Versus
Yep.
Myth. Well, what are we doing here? We've got Yepes and Valgarin. Can you explain Jus Valgarin to the rest of the world? He's had a 6, but he's been very, very
So
good.
I was going to say, just go back on his stats a second, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So he can head. He's quick. His passing is not the best, but his position is decent. His tackling and marking aren't right, but he seems to be right at the right place at the right time. His stamina is high and his work rate is high. So basically, he can run around like a headless chicken, despite not being that great at marking. But he can also jump and head if need be. So he's useful there. And Yepes, I believe, sort of statistically complements him in terms of he's got better tackling, better marking, and better passing, I think.
Yeah, well, he's definitely got he's got poorer technique, but apart from that, he's pretty good. Yeah, and it's worked out well for you. Nicky Butt as well, Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs having a pretty decent, decent season. David Prutton on the right hand side. Victorino is making his debut. He was a guy who you swapped for Franca, wasn't it?
Franca. Yeah, and again, that's just because he's got a nice bit of balance to Veron with the left foot, decent work rate. I think his stats are generally in the 15s and 16s for what I want in midfield. So it might not be elite Super League quality, but he can do a job and free Rivaldo up. His passing and tackling is probably a bit bang average, but he's Scholes hasn't done it for me at all. So I want to mix it up there. Prutton at right wing back, that's probably going to raise a few eyebrows. But I'm running out of options. That right wing back position is a bit problematic for me. I don't want to play Torricelli because I don't think his stats are great, despite what Ryan says. Finnan's been bang average. Burrow Cochan's been bang average. Steve McManaman is a better pundit than he was a player, and that says everything. So I don't know. I'm willing to give it a go, basically.
Yeah. I was going to say David Prutton is one of the most popular players in for the other teams. Yeah, David Prutton's always someone buying him off Forest, early on, don't they? I think so. But so he's obviously very highly rated. Let's see you up top. Yeah, be interesting. That'll be interesting. But Rossini, as you mentioned there, has not really been doing it for you. So
that's probably the way I'm setting up. To be honest. A lot of the player tends to involve the CMs and the AMs, giving away the secrets. So I'm probably asking him to do a target man role rather than a striker role. So that's probably why he's not scoring for me. But he's not doing too. I'm probably being a bit harsh on him, to be fair. I'm chopping and changing too much up top. But Vasil Yuk's a player I really, really like.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll have a look at your opponents and Jens and Ryan. I'll get your opinions on the Asta side once we've assigned some numbers to that chap there. So this is a very un-Alf formation, I would suggest. Jens, what do you make of this? I mean, I know you're new-ish to the league, but I don't think Alf has played 4 across that DM that often. I mean, the formation is obviously very recognizable, but one of the few managers who had his own kind of take on things. It seems as if Alf has gone a little bit mainstream now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it looks that way. He's been bragging about being the last narrow tactic manager around. So, but by the looks of it, I really like this. I think he main point is he's getting Mike Duff in his best position, and if he can do half of what he does in the home save in the Super League in that position, then it's a quality player. I think he's got firepower up top. Shevchenko supporting Scherer and the Nilsson, who we got from me. I really like that he got Kalushny back in the team. I think he's maybe the best of all of those DMCs he's got. I think more than before I saw the teams, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree. I mean, I'm always hoping for Danielson to do something. It's not been a lot from him so far, but
He
I
actually scored in that official last round,
oh did he?
so
All
it's a
right.
little bit harsh on him.
Right, okay, fair enough. Well, we'll see. Shevchenko, Ryan at
Not his best
AMC.
position. Not his
Uh,
best position, but I, I I agree with what Alf is doing here. I agree with the formation, and he wants to have Shevchenko and Shearer on the pitch, and he probably looked at tool he uses and decided that Shevchenko is just as good at AMC as he is as a striker, and that's why he's gone with it.
mm,
I agree that he can't drop Shevchenko. I think I would have probably gone with Mehmet Scholl in ahead of Danielson, but as Jan said after Danielson scored last week, he can't do
mm.
that. I think I like the lineup, and Southgate and Hippier. They might not be the overly the top marquee names. They might not be Nesta Liano, but they are really, really solid. And I think he's got a good lineup here. This should be a really good game.
Yeah, well,
I think the way he stacked his midfield and the way he's put the Danielson and Shevchenko in AM, I think he's comfortably going to win this game now, 2-0. No, I think he is, like, because the way I've set up, I can't see him. Unless I have the ball, I'll get battered.
Well, we'll see if you can hold on to the ball. Ryan, do you think Chris is going to get battered tonight?
I know you've been missing this, so I'll give you a Desmond.
Oh, I'm delighted to hear it. Jens, home or away win for you, or even a draw?
Well, without knowing Alf's player instructions, it's hard. Before seeing the teams, I would say a comfortable 2-0 Fulchester, but I think it's going to be a tight one, but still I'm going to go with Fulchester 2-1.
Oh, well, let's kick this one off and see how it goes. Shevchenko coming forward, Mike Duff coming forward. You've not had the Saviola scoring. I was going to say you've not had the ball at all, Chris, but you didn't need to. You just needed to have it for a couple of seconds just for Saviola to break through and actually score a goal, something that I've been waiting for him to do. And here he is again, obviously completely unstoppable in the
Oh, yeah.
game for Barcelona, getting goals from all over the pitch. Danielson getting a goal back there. Fulchester 3-1 up though. Verong so important as he was for Bolton Phoenix in the last 2 seasons. Let's see if anything comes of it just before half time. Astra are still in it, I would say.
Been a good first half, hasn't it?
And
Just
there is
awful.
Danielson again. I mean, I thought we'd seen the best with the Slots game in terms of chances, but it's definitely this one has definitely been worth waiting for. A very, very exciting first half. Maybe not the best
Ooh,
from the goalkeepers, but plenty of chances for both teams here. A little bit of dominance for Aston Athletic in terms of the tackles and the headers, but it's Fulchester who's taken a 3-2 lead. Probably a little bit too time consuming to go through the individual goals, but we'll have a look at the team. So if we start with Astor Athletic, Ryan, you mentioned there keeping Shevchenko in there. Should he have gone with? I mean, is it better with two strikers? Has Shevchenko been that? I mean, I know I always like. Oh, he has been poor, hasn't he?
yeah, his best strikers Thierry Henry, and he sold him to Northern Bern. Shearer's coming. I think Shearer might have. I don't think he scored yet for Astor. Do you mean you'd forgive someone? It's not been the best half for the strikers, but they come back into the game. I wouldn't be judging them too quickly in that position. I don't think there's any problem with where they're playing. I think if you look at players like Thierry Henry and Ronaldo, in my opinion, they've got no problem playing in that second field with a forward arrow formation, and I can see Shevchenko being in that same vein. So, yeah, not the best first half, but it might be too early to judge.
Yeah, I mean it's been quite an open one. Jens, what do you make of that first half from Fulchester? Saviola, obviously, 2 shots, 2 goals. Good performance from him. Barong, a very important player as well. Ryan Giggs getting another assist. If you're looking at just the average ratings, you would say Fulchester's had the slightly better of it.
Yeah, I would, and I think they have, but I mean, it's a little bit un-Fulchester half, to be honest. I think they praised themselves a little bit on it as well, that they're with the shit housing and everything. I think the main reason I think they're one of the top teams is they're grinding out results constantly. I think this game is a little bit too in Norway we say too Hawaii for Macca. it can still go either way.
A
Astor got 2,
ball.
and yeah, I mean, how was it, Paul? Yeah. So and they're 1-up, and I still fancy them to win it. But I mean, Astor is in this, and it doesn't look like the Fulchester we're used to seeing.
No, Chris Mack, it doesn't look like the Fulchester we're used to seeing. Whose fault is that?
I'm very, very worried about this now. I would like to swap Rivaldo for Rossini, please.
Mm.
Well, we will do that. We will do that.
Because, well, I assume I couldn't go Rivaldo for Victorino for Rossini.
No, that's true.
No.
It don't matter. He's done it now anyway. Whatever.
What was that? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was saying I couldn't say, for example, have gone Rivaldo for Victorino and then Victorino for Rossini.
No, we can only.
Right,
Yeah.
No, just double checking. That's why I went
No, there'll be no position swaps despite the cries for position swap from the comments. That's only in terms of what is it, red cards and injuries. We do that. Halftime swaps are only for Alan Shearer is not injured. That's only a direct substitution. One player out, one player in. We're not moving anyone around.
I am really worried.
Well, you'll soon find out if you've got anything to be worried about. We'll kick off the second half and we'll see if Aston can find a way back into it. They have already gotten 2 goals back. Can they get a third? Let's have a look and see how it goes in the second half.
Just let Alf know that Martin's very much in charge tonight. Best leave it, Ryan.
Yeah, best leave it. True. I mean, they are still creating chances, Astor, but they are not looking as dangerous as they did at the end of the first half. And that was Giggs with a good chance. Fulchester having a couple of shots now. Just 8 minutes left. Berong trying his best there. Danielson trying for Astor. Ooh, both teams are really going for it here. And here's Danielson again. And with the rebound, my goodness, that's a lot of chances he's missed. Buffon doing his best in goal. And Fulchester somehow... Any Duff assists? No, Silvino got both of the assists. We have got an actual football player on the left-hand side, Wooder, so he's doing better than Duff, obviously. I mean, absorbing a bunch of pressure there, Fulchester in the second half, and Astor. I mean, they did their best. A little bit untidy in the second half in terms of shots on goal. I think they're already on 6 shots on goal after the first half, weren't they?
It's a Fulchester second half, isn't it? It's much more Fulchester that second half.
Yeah,
they won up and they just grind that out.
Yeah, I mean, and they are leading now in terms of tackles and headers won as well. Let's have a look here. I think someone was being wasteful. It was Shevchenko. I mean, they played themselves up a little bit in the second half. Many of the players, very good performance from Danielson there. He works well in that position, but the question is whether he should be playing on his own. What do you think, Jens? What could Alpha have done differently? Your opinion on the whole Shevchenko story?
I like this tactic. I think I would have put Shevchenko up front, and I'm not his biggest fan in the game. Mehmet Scholl, I'm not his biggest fan in the game either. But I think when you got Shevchenko, I think you have to play him in his best position.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been. I mean, I was going to say Shearer's not been better. Shearer didn't do well in the Super League, I think, last time out. I don't think. I don't know what it is that holds Shearer. Personally, I think it's his acceleration and pace that's not Super League level for Alan Shearer. I think he's very good at all the other stats, but acceleration pace too low for me. Anyway, I mean, a strong performance from Aston Athletic. Take nothing away from them. It was very good and just a little bit unfortunate with those 3 early goals for Saviola. Chris Mack, delighted with your performance?
Relieved more than anything. I think Jens is probably paying me too much of a compliment when he says Fulchester seeing out the second half as they always do. I don't know, I always feel like we get sort of beat in the second half, as it were, or dominated by other teams. It's normally just those fast starts I've had. Be interested to see actually how many early goals I score, because I tend to get a goal early and then hold on. And I think the games I've lost this season, I've not scored early on. So there's obviously something I need to look at in terms of, staying in the game for longer and seeing, what's happening to second half performance. But Bloody hell, am I relieved?
Well, they did have quite a lot of shots in the second half, and Danielson, I think he had like 3 or 4 in a row there. Buffon getting a 9. That's obviously always nice to have a good performance from your keeper. Ryan, how did you see this one? Deserved, perhaps?
A draw might have been a fairer result in my eyes. I think it was a good effort from both sides. Mario Yepes, I think, has probably been the difference between the two teams. Sammy Hippier getting a 5 and then a 4-1 for Al. Mario Yepes absolutely perfect for Colchester, I believe. He got 6 key tackles. I mean, one of the highest I've seen in that role. Obviously, Veron and Saviola getting all the highlights as you'd expect. Saviola, obviously, one who did it okay to an extent with Valen. We've always felt like there's been a little bit more to come from Saviola, and he's just playing him in the AMC role. See if I can get the best out of him there, which he's having a solid season so far.
Yeah, I was going to say
Nicky
that.
Butt as well, isn't he? Nicky
7.
Butt is a unsung hero. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he definitely. No, you're absolutely right, Jens. He definitely is, and I think he had a very very good run. He was at the Panathinaikos as well, wasn't he? At some point.
Yeah, Mac got him last year. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, overall, very very exciting game, very entertaining, good to watch. Fulchester running out 3-2 winners, which leaves us just with Hull's Vikings against Bostock Stanley. I don't know if if Scott's still around. Maybe he is still awake. Let's have a look and see how the what is going on here. We should have just popped into the team. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Scott is stock taking, but he said he might be able to log on.
That's unfortunate. Oh gosh, yeah, that's unfortunate. The life of a store manager. Anyway, so we'll start with Huls. Jens, talk us through the formation, the lineup. What's your what are your thoughts going into this one?
Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to try something different out for some while now. We had a good run with the 4-1-3-2, and we're probably going to come back to that a lot of games. But there's a couple of especially offensive players, attacking players that I would like to have to get more from. All those 3 up front, especially those 2 up front, I would like to try to get more from. And also Beckham in that central midfield hasn't performed as he does in a home save. So I wanted to try him in his natural position. This tactic is also a little bit a case of trying to I looked at Scott's squad and Scott's team, and even though he's in a bad run, he's still in the top 6 and he has a really strong side. And for me, I think the main reason for setting up like this with 3 defensive midfielders is trying to eliminate or not eliminate, but try and keep the ball at those central midfielders at Bostock to the minimum. Because if they can't get the ball and can't get it up to the big Shagger and Alan Smith, then I think we have a really good chance. They're very good ball playing midfielders, those 3 in the Bostock team.
Yeah, that's true. He has got that solid 3MC kind of setup there. Ian Hart, I'm curious to see where he fits into all of this. You've actually got him from Bostock as well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, It was not particularly for playing left midfielder. It was because I needed a more natural left back, and it also gave me a little bit more of a a rotational opportunity with having Cordoba that can play all over the back line as well. So, but I really like him, so I'm happy with that swap.
Yeah,
I
well,
was just going to, sorry, just to kind of interrupt. I was going to touch on that. Is if you had kind of this formation in the bag, I know you kind of very much built your team around a narrow formation, Jens. But if you had this kind of formation in the bag and you knew you didn't really have the left-hand sided player, it kind of surprises me that you didn't go for more of a left wing back. Maybe I don't know exactly who there, but someone who could play not just a left back, but as also a left midfielder. And
Yeah,
I think you've had Hart in there for 1 game at the back, and then you switched him out of there and put him in the midfield, which be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't sound too, well thought. But for this game, I think we're going to try something different. And I was actually looking at other options as well as Hart as well. I was very keen on Wilfred Bouma, for example, but it didn't work out. So yeah,
I was gonna say, I mean, they have got those players that can really do the business down the left hand side. So was it, say, Roberto plays there, Baumer plays there, Ryan Giggs. You know, there's a few of them. They're probably not. I mean, the people who have them are probably not overly keen. Dede, someone like that as well. They're probably not overly keen on on letting them go. But yeah,
no, and
definitely.
many of them had already been transferred this season, so it was impossible
True.
to do anything.
Good
For
point,
me, obviously
actually.
not wanting to critique too much, but I'd have probably put Nicky Ferenko out on the left hand side and or C-Mac through the middle. I don't know.
Wow, well. Either way, this is how the Who's line up. Let's have a look at how Bostock line up for tonight's game. Where are they? They are here. Um, no Zidane, obviously. Titov comes in for Zidane, but still a good player. He's got Riquelme, he's got Cole Chrismack. What do you think of Bostock Stanley? They had such a good start to the season, but it seems as if the hype has died down a little bit. They've had a bit of a poor run recently, and not challenging for first place as they were at some point, swapping with Boston. Anything particular you see gone wrong for them, or is it just a bit of bad luck, or sort of?
I'm not sure. Did Scott tweak with his formation for a couple of games, and then that's where the results sort of started sliding? Because I don't think he was. I'm sure he
I
changed after
think
about
he
4 or
was
5
forced
games.
into it. You're right. I think he was
Yeah.
forced into it by injuries or something like that. He had one game. He was actually on a good run. Then he was forced into a change due to something or other. And then after that, he's not really been been the Bostock that they were.
I
I
think Scott's saying no there in the chat. But I would definitely
Oh, he's
Raquelme.
not yet. Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough then. Well, I don't know. Maybe he's just been one or two things: either a bit unlucky or been found out.
I
But
mean,
he
there's
was
not.
saying in on the kind of on Twitter that this is the formation he kind of had in mind when he was building his squad
Hmm.
pre-season. This is
Yeah.
generally the first time he got to play it. Obviously, it's a kind of variation on the 4-1-3-2. He's got Alan Smith, who's probably been his number one striker so far this season. Obviously, with Big Shagger. I love the way that Jens says that. Up top, and he'll be hoping at least one of those can get on the scoreline tonight. Score sheet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the strong players in there. Lisa Rasu is another left-sided player that could definitely do a job. Gary Neville. I was going to criticize him, but actually, I remember Ryan, you played him out at right wing back, and he actually did pretty well when the few occasions that Bolton Phoenix put him out there. So
I think in season one he always had a nightmare there, and you were quite right to criticise him. But when I had him there, season two, he did improve a little bit. Yeah.
um, how important is that three, Chris? The midfield there. Jens mentioned that he was a little bit worried, or he's set up to kind of counter that midfield of three. How how good is that midfield? Joe Cole, Riquelme, and Titov.
It's very important, and do you know what? I quite like that. For some reason, again, yeah, Zidane's not doing the business. I'm a big fan of Cole and Riquelme, as everybody knows from my Parma season. Titov, not somebody I've ever had much on home saves, but I know he is decent. I quite like that midfield. Tudor provides a bit of steel behind it, so I think it's got a good balance. Would expect it to do a bit of damage. I'd have probably, if I had those three players, I'd probably line up in the same way. So I think Scott's got his selection right tonight. We'll
Well,
see, obviously, depending on the result. But
well, you've you've been doing okay with your predictions so far, so I'll let you go first for this one. Do you think Jens, your fellow co-commentator, can have the same luck you had, or do you think Bostock are gonna find their way back to winning ways?
I think it's going to be a Desmond.
Interesting. And Ryan?
Ooh, neither team in the best of form. I think that Bulls may just snatch this one. I think Bostock have lost the last few, and I don't think an away game is going to change it. I get away at Hulls, so I think Hulls might just about screw out this one.
Well, and yeah, Jens, a home win for you, I guess. It's got to be, hasn't it?
We're gonna lose 1-0 in the 90th minute, probably.
Let's see. Last game of the evening, kicking off after 2 hours of fun and games. We've reached the climax. Let's see what Hools can do against Bostock Stanley. A good start. Beckham with a cross there. Liverani, Ian Hart. All the big names are up. Oh my goodness. And half an hour just disappeared straight out the window there. And then it's Bostock that are coming forward here towards the end of the half. And there's Van Nistelrooy not
poor
scoring.
goal kick there. I think it's a very rare bit of commentary on areas.
A poor goal kick. Well,
Yeah,
I've deliberately stopped commenting on the keeper's shocking pass conversion rate in in the Super League. The fans want to see the key running stats at halftime. Travelosaurus 3-3 late goal fest. Well, we'll have a look. Well, the first half wasn't a goal fest. Solid from Hools. Slightly better in terms of shots on target, but I mean, not a lot to dwell on here. Lisa Rasu and Neville doing okay out on the wings. If you wanted to neutralize those three central midfielders, Jens, that's worked out pretty well for you, don't you think?
Yeah, it has, but we have to play our own game as well. So get the ball up to those three up front and hope that they can do something.
Yeah, very, very few passes here. Scott says as is for his Bostock Stanley side. Ryan, would you have done anything different?
Not too different. It's not. I mean, it's not been a stunning first half, is it? It's a 0-0, and based on the match stats, you probably say it deserves to be. I don't think I'd have changed too much. I think both teams were set up pretty good though.
Yeah. Chris Mack, what do you think of Hools and their first half performance?
Yeah, very disciplined. It's probably the word I'd use. It nullified Bostock's flair midfield completely. Jens, I mean, how do you feel? Are you going to, are you confident you'll nick a result second half, or would you take another 45 minutes of containment?
No, you can't be pleased with a point at home. You have to go for the 3 points. But the hope was to eliminate their threats, and then those three guys up front, they should be able to create something. So that's the hope. Yeah, we're gonna stick how it is.
We're not going to see Tor Andre Flo in action.
No, but he's in the bench, so he's getting closer now.
I was going to say he has had apparently he's had a substitute appearance before. Right, let's have a quick look at the second half. Let's see if it's over as quick as the first. That was a very quick one, or if we will get some goals to see out the evening. Christian Vieri doing his best there. So Bostock with a good shot there, with a good chance. Maxim Tiscalgo, you were asking for him to start scoring goals, weren't you? And here he is, with only 13 minutes left to play. Really a case of the two teams kind of cancelling each other out. Yep, that's it.
That's important.
That'll do.
Perfect. That was exactly what I set up for. So very happy with that.
Question for everybody: who's under more pressure, Haggis or Scott?
I mean, just on league position, you got to say Haggis. I think Scott might still be there or thereabouts in the playoffs. He might just have slipped outside, but
yeah. I think we had that.
Ian can split his pressure 3 ways. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we were maybe a little bit quick with the halftime comments there. I'm not sure Scott was quite ready for the second half to kick off. He said as is, and then he went wait, but then I'd already kicked off, and then it was never mind. So apologies for that, Scott. I know you're a little bit busy, and I know that we probably did this a little bit quicker than we normally would have, just with the time being what it is. Ambrosini with the assist there for Sigalco. Looking at the Bostock Stanley, I mean, apart from a bit of a poor night for Alan Smith, Lassisi surprisingly with he's been all right, hasn't he? What I asked you at halftime, Ryan. I'll ask you again at full time. Could Scott have done anything different, or was that the tactical placement of those three DMCs? Was that the key for Hools tonight?
Yeah, I imagine if we click over to the other side and look at Asani and DI, he'll have had a 9. Yeah, they haven't really clicked, have they? What's it? 2 7s and it's all on the wrong order. Sorry. 2 7, all 3 7s, but none of them created enough really. Yeah, Alan Smith only getting a 5 after he's had such a good start to the season. I don't know what. I mean, I quite like what what Scott submitted. I quite like the lineup. I think he'll be frustrated that he hasn't created more. I think both first half and second half, I think both managers will be quite unhappy at how little text we saw on screen, at how little they created. Obviously, Jens won't care too much at the minute he's got the victory. But yeah,
that's true. I mean, it's a question of how long he can live on one performance, Alan Smith. Yeah, he had an 8 and a 10, and then it's been 6, 6, 6 now and a 5 in this game. You'd have to question whether it would be worth not playing him or playing Etu behind or something like that. But anyway, I'll leave that to Scott. Obviously, that's kind of my only sort of real observation around that. We go over to Hools. Jens, you were asking for Tsigalko and Nikiforenko to contribute a little bit more. It's been a solid performance for you. Beckham didn't really work on that right wing, but apart from that, it's what you wanted, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, it's completely what I wanted. Of course, I would like Beckham to perform better, but I know what he can do in that position. That I set up this team not to get that much text on screen, to be honest, to keep those midfielders quiet and to hope that one of those three guys up front could get a goal, and that's what I did. And we played with the direct passing as well, so it was about getting the ball over that midfield and trying to create something for those three, and we did just enough. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, can't say fairer than that. If that's what you set out to achieve and that's what you got, then that's managerial success right there. Let's have a look at how that impacts the table. Oh, that was that 7-1. I'd already forgotten about that. Chris Mack, any of these results that stand out for you other than your hard-earned victory against Astor Athletic and perhaps Gazelle's 7-1 there? Anything else? Any big shocks or anything? Weren't really a night of shocks, was it? Really, in terms of
No, I mean,
of results.
what I would say though, Churchtown in fifth, they are lurking menacingly. I think your top three's nailed on with Devils, Gazelles, and Boston, and then you're probably looking at me, Churchtown, Fools, and Sloths to battle it out for the rest.
So you're saying that Haggis aren't even in there? That's not.
Nope. Unless Bostock turn it around next week, Haggis and Bostock probably won't make the playoffs, in my opinion.
Wow.
Well, we'll have a look. I mean, there's not that many points in it.
I know 3 points is nothing, but you've got to look at like just the form table, and there doesn't seem to be a clear way out of it. And let's be honest, if they default to 4-1-3-2, we know it's tried and failed. I just think it's so tight, and I'm going to flip flop every week about picking who will make the playoffs, who won. But you look at your most consistent sides, your top four are probably there, and then it's only your upstarts in Churchtown the last couple of weeks that have put a result together. But they've put a result together by beating everybody else. Whereas at the minute, do Bostock and Haggis look like they're doing that? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting to see what has happened after the reigning champion of 2 seasons leaves the league, isn't it? I mean, we've got Devils who've not done well over a couple of seasons who are top, Boston under new management, yourself, Chris Mack, just coming in, Craig, who's been not had the best couple of seasons with his Hoddesdon team, now in there with Gazelles. Kieran is kind of the only. I mean, fair enough, Fulchester for Palmer United last season, but those are the only two sort of like old boys that are kind of in there. From if you're looking at the last 2 seasons, I know Craig has been thereabouts as well in the past. But then we've got Sloths, Bostock, who are relatively new, Hools, who are new. Then we've got Haggis Hunters down here. It's interesting, I think, to see how the league develops and how much it's given to the league, obviously, to have the different squads as well. Goals scored and conceded isn't much in it across the board for halfway through the season. No, that's absolutely right, but that's generally been the case, I think, in the Super League. Jens, you're in eighth now, but you're only, I mean, you're in eighth place, but you are 4 points from Chris Mack in third. Still looking okay. Your season after the shaky start that you have, I guess you're kind of happy. I mean, because you're one who's been on a bit of a rise here after the first 5 games, which went terribly for you. What you make of the second half of the season? You've still got 13 games to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't consider those four or five first games, we've been one of the teams that, I mean, picked the most points. I don't see us as one of the strongest sides in the league, but we're in that area of the table where we've been now the last 4 or 5 game weeks, a point or two away from the playoffs, and I'm comfortable being there. I think we've got a really good strong squad, and yeah, I think we might be an outsider to get there.
And I think interesting point, Ryan. Don't know how well you remember it, but we the last 2 seasons, I think 36 points have been enough to get into the playoffs, I believe. Palmer always said it used to be 40, and it might be this year where we've got so many points, so many teams hovering about the 19, 20, 21. How many teams is there? 5 teams separated by just 2 points. What's your prediction for overall for second half of the season? Not so much in terms of teams, but in terms of what will be required for the playoffs. Are we going to see a 40 season being needed?
Well, on paper it looks that way, doesn't it? We're halfway through the season and it's 20 points. Is the kind of the separator, isn't it? It might. I mean, I think the season that he made that prediction, Palmer, and said that 40 points is going to be the key. He actually lost out on goal difference with 40 points, which with I think it was Shadwell 10, I think his team was back then. So to miss out on 40 points would be very, very harsh. I think it was 37 last year, might have been the kind of what would have got you in. Yeah, just looking down the bottom of the league. And it's now, I mean, it's been very tight all season, but now you're looking at Dudley Hill, Astor, and Dragons again didn't pick up results tonight. Northern Burn again didn't pick up a result. Laddersford got a point. There is starting to see a little bit of separation between them and the rest. They're becoming maybe a little bit adrift.
I think, I mean, if I'm gonna be non impartial and non polite, as I maybe have been a little bit in the past, we've seen this kind of pattern in the past. And I mean, I think if Dragons pick up 3 points against Laddersford in that postponed game, then they're obviously on 15 and they're kind of in it. I know we get to halfway point in the season and we say, oh, but it's only like 10 points, it's only 8 or 9 points. I've just not seen. I don't recall any of the bottom 4 teams like really making like a mad dash and sneaking into the playoffs at the very last minute. I think it's kind of now or never, and it is about getting those consistent results. I mean, the managers down there know that as well as anyone. But now is the time, I think, where we need to see movement. If we get to game week 18, 19, and you're still 8, 9 points adrift by the nature of P teams playing each other, the league being as small as it is, everyone is you're playing the teams technically around you at least every other week. Yeah, so I think it's going to be very, very difficult for the teams that don't start turning it around in the next 2, 3 games, to be completely honest. But let's see how it goes. Could be surprised, obviously. Next week's fixtures is this one. So we'll see. Ryan, over to you. Do you have any plans on how this one is going to be to be done?
So basically the plan is to do it as quickly as possible. So if I don't know, I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. It's basically get it out to Jamie and the boys and to Hadji as quickly as possible. However, we just do a quick pre-record and put it out, and then move on to the next set of fixtures. That might be the way forward. I'm unavailable this Wednesday, so it might be something I can just put out on Wednesday night. There's a quick one or something like that. I won't be able to do a show on Wednesday. So it might be that goes out Wednesday, and then we have another show next Sunday.
Play it now, Unchanged. Well, we're gonna have to click like through 3 or 4 days. Sorry, we're gonna have to click through a full week, Hottie. So there could be injuries and all kinds of stuff. There's transfers and stuff to go through. So we're not gonna do that. It's also 11:15, and I'm not willing to do it. So that's that one taken care of. So thanks very much, Ryan. We'll get the squads out to Hottie and to Wooder as well, and you can confirm that because it's gonna take a little bit to play. So sadly not. Anyway, looking forward to the fixtures after that. I was going to ask Chris Mack what he reckoned to his Fulchester side's chances, because you are away to the Devils. That was the one I was going to talk about. What do you make of it? Are you going to be the ones to derail the Devils season?
I was going to say, let's be honest, if there's anybody in this league that's going to go to the Devils and get a point with a tactical masterclass, it's going to be me, isn't it? So I'm backing myself then. I'll get something from the Devils, I think.
That's a horrible game. Yeah, he has got the generator. He has got the generator out. Well done, Fifey. Yeah, absolutely. Here are the rest of the games in front of you, as you can see. In the interest of time, I'm gonna call it there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It was a pleasure for me to be back. I hope you enjoyed the show as well. Thank you very much, Jens. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Chris. It
Thank
was
you.
a real pleasure to have you in the studio chatting to you. Yeah, I'll catch you all again very, very soon.
Catch you soon, gents. Thank you very much.
Thanks.